So
yeah, but Dylan, they were incentivized by
I-
Biden putting it out there to come across.
Yeah, but I didn't.
Yeah, but through healthcare and free schooling for their kids, etc. This is how they. Okay, I guess I'm not going to amplify your argument, but go ahead. I'll let you get this.
Don't amplify my argument because Dylan.
Okay, I won't, bro.
And then
Go for it, bro. I won't.
Interrupt and
go ahead, Dylan. Explain to this retard your argument.
You control the whole thing. You've been doing it the entire time. When anybody
come on, I guess I'm pretty good at it.
You're not having a good faith conversation. You just keep running over other people.
Okay, bro. I guess, man.
Discipline.
I'm controlling everything. Yeah.
You have no mic discipline.
Today we have a panel of a bunch of very awesome content creators who have opinions on ICE. And let's see how this debate goes. So the first prompt is, since Trump's presidency, the funding of immigration and customs...
Wait, real quick.
Oh,
we were supposed to do introductions for everybody first.
Oh, okay, yeah. We'll start with Admiral Gibbs since he's first one on on my screen. So, Admiral Gibbs, introduce yourself.
First of all, before we start even the intros, if you see me do this or you see me do this bullshit, just ignore it. I'm not trying to get your attention. My camera has an AI and it hates me, and I don't know. I'm Admiral Gibbs. Someone said they're the final boss of conservatism. They can be, because I'm the golden god of conservatism, and I'm here to tell you why ICE is necessary, especially whenever we have 20 to 22% of arrests happening here.
Gibbs, you're plugging in channels right now. Right? Is that
we're plugging channels? Oh, well.
Yeah, plugging channels.
Well, so good. I'm going to get to that. Just trust me. So we're going to be talking about that as a base Texan, and I'm excited. 5 million words, Admiral Gibbs. Woo!
There you go.
Awesome. Next up, we'll go ahead and give Alec, if you want to go ahead and go, so we can just go down the rows.
Sure, sounds good. My name is Alec Gunter. I put this little panel together for the most part, but I told Mace to pretend like he did it. So he's going to be hosting and moderating tonight. He's a very good moderator. He's good at what he does. So thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Like I said earlier, this panel wouldn't be possible without all of you, so thanks. I'm Alec Gunter on YouTube and Twitch. I also have my own website, alecgunter.com. I go live Tuesdays and typically Fridays. It varies, I don't have a set schedule. I march to the beat of my own drum. So, but I'm a left-leaning politics influencer, a debater, I guess. I've been doing more debates lately. Going to be trying to do a lot more after this. So hopefully we have a fun night tonight.
Awesome. Next, Dylan Burns, if you'd like to introduce your channel and everything.
Sure. My name is Dylan Burns. I mostly film war documentaries on the front line in Ukraine, but I also just filmed a documentary in Minneapolis where I filmed ICE activity, spoke to locals, filmed Jake Lang come to town and all sorts of stuff, spoke to local police officers, interviewed them and such. So this should be an interesting panel.
Yeah. All right. Jake Var, if you'd like to
happy to be here, man. I'm Jake Var. I'm the host of Project Vealpod on YouTube and Rumble. I do political content, obviously, right-wing perspective. I am familiar with Gibbs, with Rinyal, and Burns. Rest of you guys I am unfamiliar with, so really happy to meet everybody here on the panel and looking forward to getting into it.
Awesome. All right. Next up, Jebtan.
Yeah, I'm Jebtan. I don't really have any stream or shows I host. I just talk shit on Discord and Twitter at Jebtan RIP. But yeah, small government conservative, generally considered anti-Trump. I voted for him in the past, but didn't in the last election. But still on the Republican side of things, just not MAGA.
All right. Kazim, is that how you say it correctly?
Nailed it. I am a leftist AI developer by trade. I don't really stream, don't really do anything like that.
A curd is a curd.
I've stole my kidney.
My goal here is just to debate, so
from them sad
that's why I'm here.
All righty. Rinyal.
Yeah, I'm Rinyald. I stream on YouTube and TikTok. I do debates. I'm a liberal. Find me at RINYALD.
All right, and Wolf, aka I forgot your channel name. It was something veteran. Oh,
Hold on
I
one
am
second,
critically
CTV. Let me
thinking
say that
veteran.
correctly for you. That's the critically thinking veteran, the last hippy dippy goddamn champion. Sorry, continue.
I mean, it's true, right? So I am critically thinking veteran. I live here in the great state of Florida, the great free state of Florida. I run my own business now. Thinking about getting back into Twitch and streaming. As soon as I can figure out a way to make it work for me instead of me working for it. Already been getting involved in making videos on TikTok and on X. So if you'd like to get together, you can find me on X at Polk County Lobo. Main name critically thinking veteran. I am a Make America Great Again conservative. Voted for Trump in the last election as well as Grady Judd. And happy to be here tonight so that, obviously the correct opinion can be heard.
all right. Awesome. It's very nice to meet you all. I'm only familiar with Rinyald, Dylan, and Alec. So I'm ready to hear the opinions of everyone here on this topic. I feel like, especially these days, it gets very heated whenever it comes to topics about ICE. I've seen that within the server and just on the internet generally. So I'm ready for this debate. So I guess now I can go and say the first prompt. Since Trump's presidency, the funding for immigrations and custom enforcement has increased by several magnitudes. ICE presence has caused a lot of controversy, with many defending their activities and others scrutinizing it heavily. There have been calls to abolish ICE completely as an institution. Please tell us whether or not you believe ICE should be kept or abolished, and give your reasoning. And I'm just gonna pick a random person. Kazim, I want to hear. We'll start with Kazim. Oh, you're muted.
Can't hear.
He's muted. You're still muted.
Still
Can't
muted?
hear. You're muted on
Your
Discord.
software muted, not hardware. There you go. Now your hardware muted.
Now your hardware muted.
Am I good now?
Good.
Yes.
Yeah.
As you can tell, I don't do this for a living. The founders had a word for what ICE is. It's a standing army. Hamilton promised in Federalist 17 that the feds never want police powers. In 25, he admitted once forces are raised, pretexts just multiply. In 84, he said no Bill of Rights, and he was wrong on all 3 points. In Brutus 8, an anti-federalist paper, we see when a government has so many resources for obtaining money, how can it be restrained from oppression? The answer is it can't. That's why they demanded the Bill of Rights, to bind the government, not hope it behaves. The Fourth Amendment, warrants from a judge required for any search and seizure. The Fifth Amendment, no persons deprived of liberty without due process. You have case law like Payton, you can't enter a home without a judicial warrant. Scalia even said that aliens get due process. This is all settled law, nothing new here. 75 billion via reconciliation, party line, no filibuster, 11 billion base appropriations. You end up with an almost $86 billion budget for a 4-year period. That's more than 50 states worth of police spending combined. ICE is the only DHS agency that is shutdown proof. The TSA stops, FEMA stops, ICE runs through 2029 no matter what you do. This is Brutus's infinite purse made real. 400 judges, 44 of them Trump appointed, ruled 4,421 times that ICE is detaining people illegally. 96 court orders broken in Minnesota in 1 month. 600 people released in Chicago for no probable cause. Releases have dropped 87%. The deportation to release ratio has gone from 1.6 to 1 to 14.3 to 1 in 11 months. Recently, career ICE attorney Ryan Schwank resigned 2 weeks ago. He told Congress the first day at the academy, supervisors handed him a secret memo to read and return, no copies. Teach recruits to enter homes without judicial warrants. The training was cut from 584 hours to 240 hours. ICE is teaching cadets outright to violate the Constitution and cloaking it in secrecy. That's a quote from his deposition in the Senate. I build AI systems for a living. One of the ways that they're doing this is through Palantir's Immigration OS system. They paid $30 million for this piece of software that'll take your Medicaid records from over 80 million patients, your plates, your phone location, your facial recognition, any input they really want to give to it that they have access to, which they're getting more and more access through Flock and other services. And that they're just able to print off your location with a confidence score. Know your house address. Is that something that the government's supposed to do? I think not. No warrant, no judge. The Fourth Amendment says papers in effect. This searches all of them without a boot hitting the ground. Cato found, as in the Cato Institute, in 2025 was the safest year on record for ICE agents. But agents have shot 33 people, killed 9, 5 of which are citizens. DHS claims that there is a 1,300% assault spike. NPR checked, it's only 25%. They're just lying. They've lied multiple times. Congress created ICE in 2003, abolishing the INS for less reason than we have now. $86 billion, military weapons, secret memos, 4,400 ignored court losses, AI surveillance the founders would have shit the bed for, and made the Bill of Rights to prevent. Hamilton was wrong. Brutus was right. Get rid of it.
All right. That was a great opening statement, and I'll go ahead and pick out. Okay, so who is anti-ICE or pro-ICE rather? Who wants to? We'll go ahead and we'll say Jake. Jake, you can go first.
Yeah, no problem, man. Yeah, I'll just start off this. Yeah, we shouldn't abolish ICE at all. There's this whole idea, like, remember, the whole ICE raids were happening under Bill Clinton, even Barack Obama. It's nothing new, okay? They were going down to Home Depots before Donald Trump. The difference is that they weren't as, of course, invested into so much money, as you mentioned before in the prompt. We have put more money into ICE than we have before in the past, but that's because, well, under Joe Biden, we've had, around 10 million encounters at the border. Probably estimated between 5 to 6, 7 million people that stayed within the interior of the United States. ICE's job is to hunt down these individuals, and they are prioritizing rapists and criminals first. And this is I think this is very important. According to our opponents here, that they want to abolish ICE because they, the last statement that was said earlier that, well, they killed some U.S. citizens. Alex Purdy comes to mind, and so does Renee Good, who were resisting arrest. Of course, this is a totally different out of context thing. We shouldn't be abolishing ICE when we have an immigration issue within the United States interior. And this is why I say, yeah, we should definitely keep ICE on the record and not follow what the liberals want by completely abolishing or defunding ICE, just like they wanted to defund the police. They're pro-crime at that point, and I'm not. So I'll end it there.
All right. Next up, we'll hear from Jebtan. You had a more moderate position on air, correct?
Yeah, I think there's a lot to criticize about ICE. I think currently, right now, ICE is functioning poorly. They're trained poorly. They're equipped poorly. I don't think the funding was a bad idea. I think where the money is going is the bad idea. It makes sense that they would have, if you're going to have, an immigration force that has to enforce your immigration policy throughout the entire country, you're probably going to need resources comparable to 50 states worth of police forces, at least temporarily. And there was a border crisis just preceding the actions that they started taking under the Trump administration. So yeah, it does make sense that they have a lot of money. I don't have a problem with that. But the fact that money doesn't go to better training is absurd. Their training is obviously awful. It's putting them in danger. It's putting other people in danger. It's causing them to detain people illegally. It's bogging up our courts with a bunch of cases against them for detaining people illegally. It's just costing so much money and so much public good faith that I totally understand why people want ICE as it exists to not exist anymore. The issue is, someone brought up abolishing the INS. INS leaves, ICE comes in, ICE now does this stuff, and now they're basically just treated as the INS again. So what did we really accomplish in terms of this public trust by abolishing the INS? When things go bad again, we're just going to abolish it again, and then it's going to come back under a new name? Or people going to, like, obviously the INS also split duties, but this, we would be abolishing it, and then we would have to replace it with a body that does the exact same thing, but hopefully with a nicer name and prettier uniforms. Like, unless you're willing to bite the bullet, which it sounds like some people on here might be, that we should just not have a deportation enforcement force at all. We shouldn't have people going around and deporting people. We should probably give amnesty to immigrants, and we should maybe have a small force that just sort of keeps people, you know, assists Customs and Border Patrol or whatever. Like, unless you're willing to bite that bullet, that there should be nothing like ICE again. There should be no federal immigration enforcement that will go and deport people who are here illegally, even those who commit crimes. I just don't see the value in abolishing ICE versus allowing it to be reformed, because it's not a fundamentally broken concept the way that the INS was. It's not a fundamentally dysfunctional body. People just have issues with how they're acting now under one president, and under the next president, it could operate completely differently.
All right. Next up, we'll get critically thinking veteran. What's your opinion on ICE?
Well, Jeb 10, first, you only need 50 states worth, bro. It's not all 50 states don't border, you know, foreign, right? Some of those states are inside the United States, so they only need border state money. But to get back to the point, though, right, is, and unless you're for open borders, there needs to be some federal institution that is enforcing immigration law. What is disingenuous is anybody that is using these statistics to try to justify any actions being taken by ICE. Whenever you've got left-wing idiots out there, you know, creating more problems than there needs to be. We all understand that there was a lot of people that were led across the border that were not supposed to be here. It's already a huge task for the federal government to be rounding these people up. And then for those on the left that then try to like use the chaos that they are causing, right, and the statistics then as a way to push their narrative is completely what I expect children to do, right? So whenever there's some real adult conversation happening with regards to like how you're going to do what is required of the federal government, it's like its primary job, which is enforcing the federal border for the states so that the states aren't doing it themselves, right? It's its entire, like, one of the primary duties. So I'm not an open borders guy. Anybody, you know, like I said, doing that, it's acting like kids, and I'm ready to have an adult conversation when we're ready to get there.
All right, Reynald, you're up next.
Yeah, I think there is such an internal rot in terms of internal immigration enforcement that there needs to be widespread change to the point of unrecognition to ICE and our immigration processes. In furtherance of mass deportations, we've seen the normalization of ICE ignore constitutional rights of detainees and potential suspects, lying about U.S. citizens they've murdered or attempted to murder, the purposeful bypassing of traditional training requirements, and a system of hitting quotas rather than actually protecting when necessary. I often say the strongest argument against a lot of our systems is what Donald Trump is doing right now. He exposes a lot of the weak points of a lot of our institutions. We should not have a federal police force that can be weaponized against people that is driven by Stephen Miller's quota system. At the moment, until we can have a good faith executive who can actually say that he won't use a police force as a secret police force as a means of voter intimidation, or until we can have an agency that will actually respond to court orders, ICE is doing more damage than help. Whether abolition of ICE looks like transferring the HSI's current duties to CBP or reform to the point of unrecognition, something has to be done.
All right. Admiral Gibbs, you're up next.
All right. Yeah. So, you know, I offered this many times before the election. I came on these panels. I only came into the political debate space because of immigration as an issue. I own a ranch. My family owns ranches near the border. And the coyotes would come and they would destroy our ranch. They'd destroy our property. They'd eat our cattle. And I came on these panels and I said, hey, this is a fucking problem. And you know what I was told? Fuck you, rich landowner. right? And now, if you know anything about ranching, you know we don't make a lot of money, right? It's not a fucking hand over fist thing. So I decided I'd get passionate about this and do some research. So I decided, I'm pretty pro-immigrant. I own a leather company. We've gotten over 30 Guatemalans citizenship since we've hired, and I've gotten at least 2 people from my ranch citizenship the right way. And guess what? All of them are Republican. Why? Because they did shit the right way, right? They think that illegal immigration is evil because it empowers the cartels and it empowers human trafficking. It's really bad, and there's multi-layers of this. I'm sure we'll get into this. If I live in San Antonio now, I live in Corpus, the cartel runs the city. They own half the city, and I'm not talking about just the drugs and shit. They're doing the legitimate businesses. They own this shit. It's a problem. There's a reason why 20 to 22% of arrests are happening in Texas, while 2% are happening in Minneapolis, and there's no riots here because we have actual issues. There's a real problem, and when I came on these panels, I offered, hey, if you give me the most secure northern border, most secure southern border, I will even grant amnesty for everybody that gets here between now and a year. They get amnesty, and you know what? Not a single lefty would take it. Right? Not a single one. And then when Trump offered something after Abbott shut down the border, not fucking Biden, Abbott shut down the border, Trump, they offered, hey, we will do all this, yada, yada, and then we'll give you all the things you want. But Schumer shut it down because he didn't really want to fix the issue. He didn't want to fix the issue. No one cared about immigration until Abbott sent these people to Martha's Vineyard in Chicago. Suddenly it's a problem. Well, guess what, folks? It's been a problem for years. I've had at least 8 friends get killed. I've had several friends essayed and murdered because of this by illegal aliens that are in part of the cartel. And, I sit here and I come on these panels, I hear, oh, boo-hoo, you're so unempathetic. But it's a real fucking problem, and nobody here has the balls to fix it except for Trump. Trump's sitting here doing the hard thing, and he's putting ICE out there and getting the job done. And if it wasn't ICE doing it, it should be the Border Patrol. Either way, it needs to be handled. We need this problem fixed. And y'all are going to say, well, what about Consuela, the woman that works at the motel? Or what about Juan, the guy that works at the farm? Well, guess what? He's fucking me. Juan is fucking me directly. I have legal aliens that I've helped get citizenship work on my ranch. The C&J down the road, they have them like 30, 40 illegals, and they pay them under the table. Oh, and they get busted. They get busted once a year. What do? They pay a fine. I can't afford to pay a fine. I can't do it. It's bullshit. It fucks with wages. It hurts legal immigration. It's all around bad. And here's the real kicker. The Democrats, there was no great party switch. The Democrats only want illegal aliens here for slavery. The same reason the same group of people said, who's going to pick our cotton? Or the same ones going, who's going to pick our crops? Who's going to clean our toilets? Who's going to get us elected? Who are we going to funnel money to for our elections? That's the Dems. They're evil and they're slavers. And guess what? We fought a civil war over it, and we might have to fight another one if they don't stop taking advantage of my people.
All right. Next up, Dylan, we'll give you the floor.
Sure. I am also doing my taxes at the same time as it helps me. It's therapeutic. So first off, I just want to say to Gibbs, fuck you, rich landowner. Just establish that right off the bat, of course. Secondly, I think that ICE as it stands either should be abolished or reformed in such a manner, as I think was said earlier, that it would not really be the organization that we describe it as today, or as it's being implemented today. And the fact that a president can use it in this manner means that a president in the future could use it in this manner. And so while it is true that, with the next presidency, I might have some administration that runs ICE much more akin to what I would like, at the end of the day, one administration later, and that could change on its head. The main concerns that I have, and this is from talking to people in Minneapolis, St. Paul police officers from the Twin Cities, like different people who have dealt with ICE in the neighborhood, is number one, there doesn't seem to be any culture of accountability. There seems to be a feeling that you can just kind of get away with shit. Seems to be not only what the locals have felt, but also seems to be how this is playing out on the ground. There have been multiple ICE officers who have gone out and shot Americans, and then afterwards, after shooting Americans, they get repositioned to other locations, even if you say they might have been in the right to shoot them legally speaking, as in they can't be put before, a court and sentenced guilty. That doesn't mean that they did their job well. Nobody can tell me that shoving that woman to the ground, spraying Preddy directly in the face, bashing him over the head with a can of pepper spray, dragging him to the ground, and all these were like de-escalation tactics. None of these people are removed from their positions. None of these people are suspended from their positions or able to continue in their positions.
How you gonna own a ton of
Now,
land and still be broke as a motherfucking
as was said
joke?
earlier, sorry, I'm getting
Has he
somebody
considered
donated money
working?
and it's yelling in my ear. I appreciate the $20 though. This is not just a case for Alex Peretti. This is not just a case for Renee Good. This has been the case for other instances. Maybe it isn't shootings, but there also have been other instances of police abuse, unlawful detainment, and it touches undocumented citizens and American citizens. Now, this is true that it's not completely new that ICE has unlawfully detained people, but there's been a massive surge, and that comes with new people coming into position who don't know what they're doing, who now have had their training cut down to 42 days. 42 days of training. People thought it was 47 days because President of the United States, but no, it was 42. That's not enough training. The areas that they've cut was weapons handling and constitutional law. Those are the types of things that they cut from the training schedule, which I think if you're going to be funneling money into ICE, you should be concentrating on training. If you're going to be massively expanding this effort to touch each corner of the country, you should be training these people more. The whole country is going to have their attention on these mass deportations, something that many people didn't even think could get functionally done within the Republican Party. But that's something Stephen Miller wants to pursue. And if you're going to pursue a policy like that, and you're going to be nabbing people off the street, whether it's a Target, whether it's at Home Depot, these people need to be properly trained in constitutional law. They need to know what the difference between an administrative and a judicial warrant is. They need to understand that escalating the situation, even if it feels good, it doesn't necessarily benefit you. There needs to be some policy to get rid of the fucking masks. Nobody likes officers who don't show their face. It reminds people of a secret police style moving gang where they come out, grab people, you have no clue who anybody is, and then people disappear. And that's not just happening to undocumented immigrants. Also happening to American citizens. And that view is never going to be a good look for ICE, and it's something people shouldn't have to deal with. There's no way to build public trust in that manner. Not to mention the fact, the amount of lying that has taken place. You can never rebuild trust with Minneapolis. It's just impossible. You have lying about the Renee Good case, that she was a terrorist trying to go run over this officer. Oh my God, I don't even know how he survived. You know, she was engaging in domestic terrorism. Then you have lying about the case where the two people were shot in the leg, where the ICE officers on the scene ended up lying about it. Then we have the case where Alex Peretti is shot, and they lie about that immediately afterwards too. This means every single instance where an ICE officer fired their gun and hit somebody in Minneapolis has been lied about either by officers on the scene or by administrative officials. And when I say administration officials, I don't just mean one or two. I mean basically every single person in the president's cabinet. There's nobody with good judgment here. And if they think that they can treat certain laws like the privacy of one's home, carding Americans on the street for their ID, I still can't believe that for a second, even if they reeled this back, that they were asking for American citizens to walk around with their goddamn passport and ID if they're walking anywhere near where ICE could be raiding. Newsflash, ICE could be raiding anywhere. They don't announce where they're going to be raiding. So if everybody has to carry an ID or a passport where ICE could be operating, then you have to carry a passport through every single state of every single inch of the country, because anywhere they could be operating, you don't know. They're escalating operations. This isn't how the American people are going to build trust with law enforcement. This is how trust with law enforcement is going to be crushed. It has to either be reformed to the point where it's not recognizable as ICE, or it has to be done away with, and you have to start from scratch. And it's not just, you know, ICE that you have to deal with. You have to deal with the problem of, we had a conversation of it was going to be the worst of the worst. Now people are finding out that their neighbor of 25 years who hasn't done anything wrong is also being included with worst of the worst. The majority of the people who were deported from Minneapolis are not criminals outside of the fact that they committed the civil offense of entering the country illegally. That's the major crime. So if you're going to have a discussion about these people being rapists and murderers, then anybody could characterize any other group of people this way. I could say all Trump supporters are terrorists, all Democrats are communists, any XYZ. If you take that type of discussion from the campaign trail and actuate it in policy, it's always going to fail.
All right. And I believe Alec is the final one to give his opening statement.
ICE bad. I think... I don't understand the draw to ICE. I don't understand why people defend them. I don't understand what it is they do for me. You know, I'm not going to come at you with like a bunch of facts and statistics and stuff. I'm just going to tell you what I've seen. Like, and what I've seen from ICE does not impress me, not even a little bit. Like, all they seem to be doing is black bagging people, throwing them into cages, and basically just letting them die there or suffer and be tortured. Like, just last year, I think I was just looking up the statistic, 38 people. Make sure I got that right. 32, my mistake. 32 people died in ICE custody. It was a record, and that was under Donald Trump. 32 people dying in ICE custody is simply not acceptable. Nobody should be dying in ICE custody. The whole point is that we keep them safe, and supposedly the whole point is that we keep them safe and get them out of the country, right? So if they're dying in ICE custody, then ICE isn't even doing their jobs, frankly, at all. Like, they're technically removing the immigrants, I guess, from basic society. But if that's their job, then I don't want them around. I think that immigrants, both undocumented and otherwise, have been nothing but like a positive for the United States. If you look at the statistics, over 50, I think at least 50% of all of our farm labor is done by undocumented immigrants. It's like close to 50%. So if you just Thanos snap all of those people back to Mexico or wherever, right? Like, what are you even doing then? Like, you're just taking the food out of your own damn mouth. You're biting the hand that feeds you. So that's just one aspect of this. And again, like I said, ICE just has not impressed me. I've seen what they're capable of. They wear masks. They don't even want people to know who the hell they are, which is ridiculous to expect from officers of the law, supposedly. Like, I have no reason to respect them. I have no reassurances that they will care about me or my life if I ever get into some kind of, confrontation with them or somehow. As we've seen demonstrated before, they will simply kill you. They will just kill you. And I don't think that people like that deserve to be walking around, waving a gun around and calling themselves officers of the law. I think that's ridiculous. I think we need to abolish ICE.
All right. Thank you all for those opening statements. Before we get into the open discussion, I just want to let everybody know in Platinum Politics, we are doing this a little bit differently. We're not doing it in our usual stage. Alex said that there was some issue with the stage, but we're still doing the debate. Yeah. But go ahead and check out all these guys' channels. And for everybody watching and everybody else's audience, come check out Platinum Politics. We are a debate platform that seeks to be as unbiased as possible and allow great discussions to happen, like this one, I hope is occurred. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and set about a 30-minute timer, and I will open the floor.
Hey, one thing that I want to address really quick, Alec, were you making the argument that because people died under the ICE detainment, would you say 5 people? 5 people under Trump?
32 last year. 32 last year.
32 last year?
Bankrupt.
Okay,
Yes.
32 last year. Under Biden, it was 26 during his
That is
whole
also
administration.
unacceptable.
Oh, so okay.
Yeah,
So
but-
I just want to be consistent here on where you're going with this. It's also unacceptable. So did you want to abolish ICE under Biden as well?
Well, I mean,
Yes.
understand too that Alex started this off by saying that he didn't even understand the function of ICE. So, like, his opinions to begin with is already null and void.
Well,
They've done nothing for me.
I would like to make 2 points. First of all, I think it's kind of weird to compare the amount of people that died in ICE custody over the span of 1 year of the Trump administration to 4 years under Biden, when there was more people coming to the border and more deportations. That seems like a weird thing.
Well, it's because ICE wasn't doing their job technically. Under Donald Trump in the first year, 75,000 detainees. Okay, what was the full detainment of Biden under his full years under ICE?
So the difference would be the type of deportations that were happening, right? So Joe Biden wasn't relying as much on
ICE.
Yeah, I mean, if you include
exactly. So it would make sense.
If you include the Border Patrol thing as well, it's going to be like incredibly disproportionate toward Donald Trump.
Sure, but I'm not comparing the Border Patrol. Border Patrol and ICE do 2 different jobs, right? So
certainly, but in terms of in terms of the people that are dying in custody, I'm pretty sure even if you account for the amount of people that died in CBP custody, it's still probably biased towards the Trump administration. No.
Why did these people die? Anybody ask that question?
It's a lot of different reasons. It could be because like they're not even guaranteed a bed in immigration detention. It could be
stop.
Squalid detention that's been attested to by multiple Congress people.
I'm not listening to could be. If you don't know, keep your mouth shut.
Hold on. Let's calm down our voices here. I'm just saying 75,000 detained under Trump compared to Biden's entire administration, which was 36,000. Okay, didn't even come close under his whole 4 years. So you got to compare the numbers before you say it's not fair to compare 1 year over Trump's 4 years over Trump's 1 year. So of course Trump is working overtime with ICE. We can
I mean, you could also point out the fact that our our detention infrastructure is not ready for the amount of ICE detentions that are happening right now, right? Like I said, ICE is arguing that we don't even have to guarantee these people everybody a bed, right? Like it's pretty crazy the amount of people we're jamming into these ICE facilities, no?
So
if ICE not really, no.
We have facilities that are literally not being used. I can think of 3 in San Antonio. They're overflow facilities. In fact, Doge tried to shut one down recently, not too long ago, last year, because hadn't been used in 6 years. We have the facilities. Also, I want to point out one thing though, because Mr. Gunter here, is that your name, Gunter? Yeah, Mr. Gunter here. He activated my chat card. He openly admitted the thing that I said in my opening, which said he wants slavery. He's like, who's going to pick our crops? Who's going to do it at this lower wage? Who's going to do this shit? That's terrible. Why?
I know. Wait, hold on. You mischaracterized.
No, I'm not mischaracterized. This is what y'all do.
You did.
Y'all pretend that the American people can't pick crops. We can't do it at fair wage because we are undercutting the legal immigrants who would probably be the ones that would come and pick the crops as migrant workers for the most part. And then instead of paying these people a fair wage, you think these people should pick the crops and get paid unfairly and have worse living conditions. This is slavery.
Said that.
That's slavery.
I never said
amnesty.
No, you didn't say that, but you said who's going to pick a crop? 50% are illegals. That's a problem.
Pay them fair. Okay, here's the thing. They're trained for it at this point, right?
Yes,
and they're good at it. So pay them fairly and give them pay them fairly. Give them fair working conditions and livable wages.
Yeah, you pay them like Americans, Gibbs.
Undocumented or illegal.
Easy.
Yeah, pay them like Americans.
Hey, I have a great solution for you then. Ready? I have a great solution for you then.
This is the pro-Democrat slavery position. I didn't know 1865.
Rule of law doesn't matter.
I'm going to defer to Dylan. He wanted to say something.
This guy is advocating for the 1865 Democrat position. I see they haven't changed.
Oh my God!
Isn't it? We're advocating for amnesty. Wouldn't that give us then the same protections as any other legal?
Do you want all 25 million illegals amnestied?
Literally the second half of this debate, Gibbs.
You're not advocating for amnesty. I've sit here on many panels. Now I'm not saying y'all.
I'm not,
because I haven't debated y'all. I've offered amnesty as a potential compromise many times, and it was rejected. But now y'all want amnesty because Trump has sat here and said, nope, you're going to get the stick now. And here's the crazy part: you're saying, oh, pay them fairly. Okay, so you want these people who came here illegally, have been undercutting Americans and legal migrants work pay. Do you want them to suddenly get amnesty and get a reward for breaking the law and have been slaves for the whole time? Why?
My man, you're boxing shadows.
So I'm not sure if you know what the second proposition we're arguing for is amnesty. So literally every single person on here is going to be arguing for amnesty. So I don't know why you're pretending like the Democrats won.
Wait.
Slave labor when we're arguing illegal status.
Do you want all 35 million illegals to be legalized? Is that what you want?
Yes.
You're totally fine with that?
There's a process to
But you want them all. Okay.
Hold on. It would be all more eligible. Yeah, sure. The vast majority. Yeah.
All right, everybody. Let's chill out.
Here's my compromise.
Let's let Dylan talk.
I'll go for
See how he's one extreme, bro.
Take a third. What about 2/3? 2/3. Can we take 2/3 of them to board? Okay. Look, let me say a few things. I want to say a few things there. Number one, if you look at some of these cases where people have died inside of ICE custody, some of them are pretty hazy, and we still don't know the specifics of them. There are problems with overcrowding. While it is true some facilities are open, other facilities are overcrowded. And so it depends where operations are picking up, where they're able to detain people. For example, if you're talking about Minneapolis during the height of the surge, you're going to have a lot more crowding than, say, in the middle of Oklahoma, somewhere where they might have a facility, but they're not picking up the people that they want to be picking up. As for the people dying in ICE custody, one case that did scare me was where a son of somebody who was detained by ICE was in ICE custody. He approached officers saying he needs this heart medication. He needs this medication to live. Please give it to them. They tell him they would give him to him. They don't give it to him, and the man dies. Now, when you have these many escalations of detainments, while you cut training and you have overcrowding at these facilities, you're not going to be able to do the proper checkups on people if you can't even get them the space for a bed. And so, yeah, there is a problem with overcrowding. It just might not be overcrowding at the facility near you.
Yeah, and then they're not using old facilities. They've apportioned, well, not apportioned. They've made available $45 billion to make new facilities happen. They even tried to do one here in Oklahoma, and it failed because the city told them to go screw themselves, because it's insane. Like these are interurban places. You're talking about putting prisons, and we're talking about putting enough prison capacity to like outpace the FBI's prison capacity by 5 to 1 every year. That's a crazy number you're talking about. You're talking about going from having a couple 100,000 inmates in the whole federal system to having millions. It's not feasible. That's already a ridiculous, crazy number. And you're talking about adding more bureaucracy on top of that. The big problem that you're really looking at is the asylum claims. We have 3.7 million of them in the backlog right now. And instead of actually handling them, actually signing the legislation that came through like 2 years ago to handle all of this.
Oh, you under Biden,
like,
you mean?
Let me make it a political issue, and now we'll all have to deal with it in 2 years.
Well, handle it poorly, right? Because I don't think anyone in any other circumstance, especially a circumstance under Trump, I think if Trump was saying, just let my border patrol agents who report essentially directly to me, give them authority to become immigration judges and grant asylum claims or not grant asylum claims. It's a terrible piece of legislation. It would have been a terrible thing. It would have been a massive increase in power for the exact groups of people that you're complaining about abusing power right now. It was not. It was not.
It was right up until the final minute when it was shut down.
There is no. Okay, so I want to be clear here because this is said all the time. There is no proof, zero proof. There are 3 people who were co-authors of the bill who said they had the votes to do it. There is no proof that they had the votes to get it passed, and then that suddenly changed at any point. There's none. So you have a couple people who co-authored the bill. So their incentive of co-authoring a bill they wrote bipartisan into the name of is to sell that it was a bipartisan piece of legislation. But also, I don't give a fuck if it was, even though it wasn't, because what did I just say? What I said was a material issue with the bill. So even if every single person in both chambers of Congress said they wanted to fucking get this done, it would still be dog shit. The material issue is saying, hey, Border Patrol agents, you're now immigration judges, and you can grant or not grant asylum claims.
That's insane. Do they have legal degrees to be able to do that?
No, and that's what the legislation, because the legislation was allowing them to do that. The legislation would have allowed Border Patrol agents to grant asylum claims. That's what Biden wanted to do. Biden wanted the president to be able to snap his fingers and do whatever he wanted.
Just like in a bunch of other parts of the bill probably wouldn't. But the point is that...
Did you not hear him when he said that was being pushed through by Biden?
Yes, this was in the bill.
Wait, let's be clear. When we say pushed through by Biden, can you remember the circumstances of this bill being introduced?
Yeah.
They were trying to pass Ukraine aid. Then Trump said, no Ukraine aid until we deal with the southern border invasion. 2 totally different issues, but this is politics. You connect different issues all the time. That's how stuff gets blocked in Congress all the time.
Yeah, which is awful.
You know?
Yeah, of course.
And then under those conditions, that's when this bill was made. Of course, it was an imperfect bill. This shouldn't have been the conditions under which we were negotiating immigration policy.
Which by the way, Burns, that happened literally in the last year of the administration where he was trying to get elected on here.
It also doesn't materially change my issues with the bill. My issues with the bill, there's just no evidence or even reason to believe that part of the bill wouldn't have been in there if it wasn't being balanced against Ukraine.
It never made it to the floor because
in fact, it would have been more aggressive.
Yeah, the Republicans killed it. Yeah.
Yeah, but the issue is that's not the only thing. What I'm saying is that's such a glaringly, obviously stupid thing that nobody here knew or brought up that makes me think maybe we shouldn't be having a conversation based on this bill that people aren't that aware of the contents of, because it was awful. People talk about that bill like Trump just blew up this easy solution that we had to just fix the border.
Yeah, that's
same thing what you liberals.
That was y'all's narrative.
Okay,
yeah,
let me ask this
Even
then.
Destiny used this argument against me, bro.
Yeah.
What was Trump's alternative? What was his
Well,
alternative?
the
What's the alternative?
Republicans had an alternative. While Biden was president, the Republicans had an alternative that even Fetterman liked, and it actually involved reforming some of the asylum process and tried to codify.
Joe, shut that bill down.
I mean, the Democrats don't even consider shutting it down because they never entertained him in the first place. Even when Trump was president in his first term, the Democrats were shutting down anything with any border wall funding, even though there was, I'm pretty sure, a pretty clean bill that was 500 immigration judges. 500 immigration judges for the amount of border wall funding that Biden did anyway.
It had more than the other bill, by the way. All the things Jeb's talking about is absolutely true. The bill under Trump had more of all the things that the most recent bill had, but larger numbers. And they shut it down.
Yeah, 500 immigration judges.
Yeah, so I don't want to sit here and hear the side horse about Amnesty, all this shit. Like, that's a problem. Also, Dylan, you're
no, it was a token.
We shouldn't have combined the Ukraine and the border shit. That was bullshit.
Yeah.
They're totally unrelated issues.
Yeah.
I don't know why. That made me mad on top of what was already in the bill.
I'll tell you why.
Shit.
The reason why is because the president wanted to be able to control Ukraine policy while not being in office, and this was a way to legislatively deadlock it. That's why.
Well, I mean, that's true. I'm not going to argue that, but I'm
now he's arguing our point.
But
yes,
it's just unhinged. It's unhinged that you guys listen to him when he's not in power. That's crazy to me.
Wait, can I ask? Wait,
I don't listen to him when he is.
Hold on. I objected to the bill as a Texan long before Trump even said anything. Literally the day I read it, I was like, this is terrible. Jeb and I went on how many panels did we do on that bill? Jeb, like
again,
15,
what's the
20?
alternative?
Yeah, I went on a lot.
It was like, and people are like, oh, Trump hates it, you hate it. I'm like, no, bitch, I hate it because it's dog shit. Like, that's why. And then I would go through point by point, and they'd be like, And I don't think we need to have a point by point over this bill. It's like 5 years old now.
Like,
but
that's because they all got
the point is they never wanted to fix it. They never wanted to fix it. They wanted to do what they're doing right now.
Right?
Can I?
No,
ask
it's not just TDS. Like, this was thoroughly reported this way. I'm not going to write them all off as having TDS, but it's important to actually understand that bill was not this easy, great solution. It was
The point is that that's why they don't remember. Right.
Yeah,
that's why they don't remember that Jeb and Gibbs had the position that they had, is because they want to lock everything in with Trump, and they can't see past the nuance of an individual while having their own opinion and having read the bill themselves.
I immediately copped that it was a shit bill. I immediately copped that.
Okay, so I want to ask about ICE as it stands right now. Let's go through like a checklist of things that ICE does and whether they should or should not do that. I think because this will be the key areas as to why people think ICE should be abolished or should not be abolished, right? If they're doing something that's clearly illegal, unconstitutional, and we can't stop ICE from doing it, well, then it shouldn't exist, right? Because we all agree the Constitution is the foundation of the republic, et cetera, blah, 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 liberalism, yada, yada. Anyway, I want to ask, number one, should these cops be wearing masks? Does it make sense that there's a certain part of the federal executive branch going out there, their law enforcement on, they'll be able to throw that shit out there, of the DHS, that they can go out there, not be able to identify themselves, be masked up in communities they're not a part of, and grab people off the street that people, obviously community members, won't know the circumstances of what's happening. They'll just see masked guys, many of them in civilian clothing, by the way, grabbing people and throwing them into the van. One example that I saw in Minneapolis that really scared me was two women in a car. Oh my God, I have car trouble. Somebody help me. Somebody help me. Then this man walks out from his front home to go and help them. And then all of a sudden, a bunch of masked agents swarm, take the man, throw him in the van, boom, gone. Now he's in some facility states away.
Dylan,
that doesn't sound like a criminal to me, Dylan.
Dylan, that's so
like
weird
a well-to-do neighbor.
Dylan, that's so weird that you want to kind of frame this in a way to where like everybody in the neighborhood doesn't know who the fuck ICE is. They see the news, Dylan. Okay, they definitely know what's happening, and they're trying to obstruct justice. That's actually what's happening right here. And the reason why these ICE agents wear the mask is because they're getting doxxed by leftists that are on your side to try to harass their families. So this is why ICE agents have to wear the mask. It's for their fucking safety, just like your BLM rioters, just like all these other fucks were wearing masks as well to conceal their identity.
How do we guarantee Fifth Amendment rights if you can't identify your accuser?
So this is
the ability to go enforce laws by the
BLM rioters were the ones that contribute $20 billion worth of collateral damage. What the fuck are you talking about?
I have a question for you.
Dylan, I'm saying, look, Dylan, I'm just making the point that the ICE agents are wearing those masks because their families are being attacked by crazy leftists.
Okay, I want to respond to that.
Which department
Can I be sympathetic?
Okay, fine.
I want to respond to that. That's a direct question to me. Okay. Number one, when you say they always know what's going on, ICE rolls up quick. They roll up fast. It's confusing. You don't always know what's going on. The whole point is surprise.
Why are they doing that, though?
They're doing that to try to catch people. But then when you're masked
Yeah,
up,
like
and you're not
rapists,
clearly-
like
wait,
criminals.
let me finish. Not all.
Okay.
Most
Or
of them are
somebody who helps a
rapists,
woman in her car.
But
Calm down,
a lot
Jake.
of times they come up, no official ICE clothing. They're literally dressed as civilians. They have masks on. They pile out.
And
from
there's
a
many
van,
other that
and they
have
grab
ice
people.
on there, and
Calm
people
down,
are still
Jake.
attacking them.
Whether wait,
What does
wait,
it matter?
Okay, Jake.
that type of no, it does matter. The idea that somebody can enforce laws against you while you have no clue who they are, you can't look at their ID, you have no clue if they're from the community, not from the community. That does not only poison relations, but it also turns people against.
Well,
them.
they're wearing masks. Isn't that a dead giveaway? Like that's your whole point
Jake.
here is that they shouldn't be
Okay,
wearing
so
masks.
they're like Antifa. They're like Antifa. ICE officers.
Yeah,
are like
okay,
Antifa.
they're like Antifa now.
Okay,
Wearing a
but
mask,
they
they're like
don't.
Antifa.
They are kind of a little bit like Antifa. They're both scared
So
to
then
show
you
their
would
face.
agree. Okay, so then would you agree that rioters and Antifa shouldn't be wearing masks during those protests neither?
They aren't civil servants. They aren't civil servants. They have no obligation.
I'm asking Dylan. Do you believe?
Hold on.
I love my anti-fascist federal.
Let Dylan respond real quick.
All right, yeah.
Listen, Jake.
Let Dylan respond.
Okay, I think that they shouldn't, but of course they have the right to because they're private citizens. When you're an officer, you're held to a different standard because we give you a gun. We say you can enforce the law. We say you have the ability in some select circumstances to choose who lives, who dies, who goes to prison. And because of that, they should be upheld to the standards of accountability, people being able to look at their face. It also builds public trust. And ICE has no public trust.
Well,
Here's the deal.
Nope.
Here's the deal, right? Like you're completely
as for the
forgetting. And Jake,
doxing, go after the people who attack ICE officers and get violent, stab them, try to do any of that.
Yeah, the people that are showing up to ICE facilities, shooting at them too. Okay, so when you're sitting there saying ICE,
One guy.
no, you have crazy leftists. These are the same people that killed Charlie Kirk that are trying to kill ICE agents, bro.
You mean nihilist?
Last thing
Hold on.
and then I'll be quiet for 30 minutes. Jesus, fuck you all. You're talking at the same time. If this is true, these guys are so crazy. These leftists, they put on their masks to do other stuff. Whether or not they wear the masks, the crazy people who are going to do that are going to do that regardless. Without the mask, they have an ability to build trust with the rest of the public. If they're going to go throw a bomb at ICE, you just said they shoot at their facilities. They're shooting at their facilities despite the fact that they wear masks because they know where the ICE agents are. They're at the Whipple building. They're over there. You know where their offices are. So I think the mask is a trust.
So a pretty good idea to wear a mask if they're trying to kill them as well as going after the families. Wouldn't you say, Dylan? Like that kind of makes sense on why they're wearing masks. On the building, they're enemies. Yeah, exactly.
Dylan, come on. Jake, if they know where the building is at, are you going to put a mask on the building? Like ICE officers wearing a mask isn't going to prevent a facility being shot.
That's not my argument. My argument is that with their identity in the open, they're able to dox their family.
Elementary.
Okay, well, then why would you bring up the shooting? Nobody shot up like an ICE officer's house. It was a detention facility.
I'm saying that how crazy these people are. They're the same ones that killed Charlie Kirk. They're insane, and they're on your side of the political aisle.
Let's all relax.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Let's all relax.
That's why I brought it up.
Fucking idiot. Moderator, start muting people.
All right. Let's calm down. This isn't going to be a good debate if we can't hear each other. I believe Rinald was trying to respond to.
Not only that, Dylan won $1,000. He bet that it was going to be toxic, so you should be happy, Dylan.
Let Rinald respond, but I want to hear what CTV has to say.
But let's let Rinald respond, and then we can continue from there.
What was your name?
Real quick, I think Gibbs was just asking what your name was. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my apologies. It's like I can't see it because I have the streamer mode up. I apologize, Rinald. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're all good. Moderator, what's your name?
Moderator, your name. Mace.
Yeah, the only point that I was making is that like the only situation that you were able to bring up of like articulatable harm that these ICE officers are facing is like shooting an ICE detention facility. But unless you were going to put a mask on the facility, then yeah, but why did you bring up the shooting of the facility? That was going to happen regardless.
To prove the point that these people are insane, that not only are they doxing them, they're actually going to the facilities and shooting at them as well.
The mask has
two things can be true at the same time. What are you talking about?
Hold on. So here's the thing. You talk to any police officer anywhere in the country, especially federal agents, border patrol agents, anybody, they're going to tell you that when you take this job, you understand that people are going to target you for the uniform you're wearing. They're going to find you. They might even follow you back to the station. They might even follow you home after the station. This is something they're consistently worried about. They always deal with. Every time there's a BLM or Antifa riot, what do they burn down? A police station, right? They're all the same conditions apply. but only one of these groups, for some reason, gets to wear masks. We generally understand that the other ones don't do that, and there's a reason why they don't do that, because they're interfacing with the community. Yes, the far left should have started out treating ICE like servants of the community, both in the sense of accountability, but also by not doxing them and being crazy about them. But we can't say, and we're going to have ICE act like essentially enemies of the people that they're trying to serve, that their tax was serving, because people were mean to them on the internet. Because there aren't any stories of an ICE agent's home actually getting shot up or their family actually getting harmed. So we're talking about people being mean to ICE agents on the internet right now is the reason they're the one federal agency that gets to wear a cosmetic only mask. It's not because they have to wear a gas mask or anything. Obviously those are exceptions, but this is just to shield their identity from the public they're supposed to serve.
And there is stories of ICE officers
CTV.
illegally entering civilians' homes, American citizens' homes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, like, that's why people want accountability. That's why they want to see their face. Because when they see that, there's the same arguments being used right now. And I understand it comes from a place of wanting these ICE officers to be protected. But this is used by secret police all around the world. This is used by police departments in Russia and Iran and anywhere where it is the police have an authority they probably should not have. One of the first things they do is mask up the officers so they don't face public retaliation and nobody knows what their names are. And that, to me, has all of the changes of authoritarianism.
Okay, well, the attacks on ICE officers compared to the previous administration is up by like 2,000%, Dylan.
Nope, 25. There's only been 25% increase in the number of charges filed in federal court for aggravated assault against federal police officers.
I'm not talking about aggravated assault.
They lie as much as they breathe.
I'm talking about actual shootings.
Man's got his facts on point.
Come on, man. Like, what are you going to do about what I just said? NPR said
they're in uniform when
even
they're
if it's
being
up
shot
by 25%, that's still a high number, bro. What are you talking about? Even if I grant the 25%,
that's national level news that you would hear about like immediately.
So don't you think that it's up? Being up by 25% is still a problem, bro? Jake, do you remember the problem? Would you consider that to be an issue?
All right.
Let's let respond. Would you consider that to be an issue?
I want to agree with Jake a little bit. Let me do it. Let me reach across the aisle. I agree that a 25% increase is a problem, but you said earlier that the increase in deaths is also from an increase in operations. So the increase in attacks on ICE officers is also going to be in part contributed to by an increase in ICE operations. So you'd also have to agree with that, no?
I would agree with you on that because the ICE agents under Trump are actually deporting, detaining illegal immigrants within the interior, you're going to lead up to a lot more individuals attacking that. I could see that for sure. But at the same time, we do see a lot of lefties that are going after, again, the left is the one that burned down the BLM riots back then, the Tesla burnings, the Chaz takeover. So these guys already have a history in his first administration already rioting, bro, and attacking facilities.
Okay.
We have the same thing now that Trump's in his second term. We see the ICE agents getting attacked, the LA riots. Every time Trump gets into office, you lefties lose your fucking mind and you burn down everything around you. I think that's the problem.
You established that they've been attacked about 25% more, and you just own that could be from operational persistence.
I would also like to reach across the aisle real quick.
Well, you didn't even ask the question. Dylan did. Do you think that's a problem?
So? What?
You agree with the problem, but you're just like, oh, what? Biden as a Trump bad, so it's okay. Trump bad, so it's okay.
Hold on. Let me jump in. Okay. Let me just read. Yeah, go ahead, Dylan.
Trump bad, so 25%, no big deal.
Look, my problem with this philosophy isn't that I want ICE officers to be targeted at their homes. I think that's a horrible standard to set for anybody to be targeted at their homes, right? That includes the homes that they're entering illegally. But at the end of the day, these officers sign a contract, get $50,000. They sign up for this, right? If you're an individual citizen, you don't sign up for an ICE officer to walk up to you and card you as an American citizen when that used to not happen. You didn't sign up for all these things, and having people come up to you with masks is immediately going to make you oppositional. I'm telling you right now, there is no, let me just say, there is no,
what if they wore Spider-Man masks? Would that be better?
Let me say this very clearly. I'll be very clear. Last statement. Jake Farr, I am probably one of the more moderate people you'll talk to on the issue of immigration.
You seem pretty.
When I do my documentary, a lot of it's going to be talking about how, protesters have treated police officers, stuff like that. I'm going to be concentrating on that.
Okay.
But as that moderate person, I will tell you, I will never obey orders from a masked police officer ever on principle because I don't believe it's right.
Bro.
And there's a lot of people who are going to feel that same way, and it's going to be poisoned from the base.
And I think half the country is okay with this when they're deporting, rapists and shit. Go ahead, Admiral. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I want to build a little bit of a bridge here, because I mean, Jake, you and I are pretty on the same position. But however, I'm a little confused, Jake, because I actually agree with the sentiment that Dylan just said. I'll be damned if some masked fucker is going to come up and tell me show me the papers, bro. Like, I'll be damned.
What if it was Spider-Man? Would you be okay with that?
I don't give a shit. Jesus Christ himself. If they walk up to my house and they say, show me their papers, I'm going to fucking be like, no, bitch, you show me your papers, right? Like,
you call Jesus a bitch? Come on, man.
I will call it. Yeah, hell yeah, bro. I'll call anybody a bitch. God's got a sense of humor. Secondly, I'll tell you this. Have you seen the faces people make when they have sex? He's got jokes. All right. Secondly, I want to go into this. As a pro-Texan 2A person, when Santa Ana came down and said, I'm going to take these fucking cannons, what did we tell him? We said, go fuck yourself. We shot him, right? Who do you think is a pro-2A is going to come for your guns? It's going to be the mask cops. It's the SWAT team, right? So you can't be pro-2A and pro-masks if you're a conservative. Yes. So, I don't like doxing either, but, stand by your business. And, honestly, if they go attack these guys that are not masked, that gives us free reign to be like, look, they are terrorists. So, I think the mask thing is just enabling the left's complaints. But finally, the reason why we have to do the masks, or they're trying, not we, but they have to do the mask, is because they are getting shot at these facilities, which is a real problem. Because
and they're getting doxed.
Yeah.
That was the maxes don't save anything.
These people don't believe in
random
borders or
nihilistic
ID.
terrorism.
These people don't believe in borders ID, but now they have checkpoints set up in random city blocks. Suddenly they just understand it. I don't know. It's a problem.
I don't know why we keep acting like a mask is going to prevent shooting a facility. They know where the facilities are.
I don't know why we're acting like a mask is a huge deal because you're afraid of Spider-Man.
Why do you think police officers have to identify themselves to you, give you a business card and a badge number?
If someone came up to me in a Spider-Man costume, I wouldn't let them arrest me.
Yeah. But Jake, why do you think police officers do have to identify themselves if you ask them to? If you get pulled over by a cop and you ask for his card, he's got to give it to you. Why do you think that's the case?
Yeah, it's their right to know exactly who the person is that's detaining them. Yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah. And I know ICE agents also have
take the masks off. I feel like it's not that hard of an ask then.
Well,
again, if they're getting
Jake's argument falls apart. Jake's argument falls apart because you're asking citizens to be okay with other citizens being masked while they're conducting what's supposed to be legitimate law enforcement operations, right? But that's not what's happening, right? What's happening is that these immigration officers need to have their identities protected, not specifically against these leftists, which we know will do the doxing and do all this stuff, but because they're specifically going after some people that are involved with the cartels. And that is a legitimate threat that's a good point harder for the federal government to defend those families, right?
We typically don't even support that.
We didn't support it at all. You just piggybacked off my argument. Wolf, what the fuck are you talking about?
And they dress like military. We literally in Laredo, not too long ago, had the cartel pull up, literally in police uniforms, and mow down people. This so you're telling me, how am I supposed to know what the difference is between the Zetas, who are basically paramilitary, or I don't know, what's a New Jalisco, right? Well, how am I supposed to tell the difference between that and ICE? If they pull up and they got masked on. I have a real problem with the mask thing. However, I am pretty pro everything else ICE thing. That's really my only complaint about ICE. Is the masks.
It's a combination. See, for me, it's a combination. How many civil rights infractions are they allowed to do? So far, they're up to about 4,500. Do they get to just keep going till they hit 100K? Are we playing a high score game? Is this an idle game?
Well, considering the amount of people that came across the border or inside the country illegally, you can expect those numbers to be high.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when you make an organization and you tell them from the top, hey, guess what? You can just go out and basically do whatever the fuck you want.
I'm sorry. The perfect organization that can be created where the numbers are going to be perfect across the board, right? The problem is that your side is unwilling to accept responsibility for the fact that those people are here illegal anyway. And because you're unwilling to accept that, right? We end up in this conversation where you think you're supposed to justify some shit when there's no actual stance to be able to justify a thing.
I have a great solution for making sure that they're not here illegally. It's called blanket amnesty.
Blanket amnesty.
Yeah, just give them legalship. Cool. Amazing. Now, Kaz, I have a question for you really quickly.
What categories would you afford that to, Mr. Gunter?
Well, I got a question for you. What were you saying?
What legal categories of immigrants would you afford that to? Because I would
legal categories of immigrants.
Yes.
Well, I just think that it should be far, far easier to get citizenship than it currently is. That's all.
I think we're litigating that.
A couple of papers to fill out, a background check. Like, do a background check. If they have a bad background check, fine, deport them. Sure, I don't care. But like, you know, at least like. I get background checks done just because I'm a healthcare professional. Like, we can't just like, I don't know. Like, that seems simple, right? Like, just
and it also wouldn't be
do
hard
it.
to
And
go
then
the next step and do background checks in the country of origin in a lot of cases. So that's not every country, that's not every situation, but it wouldn't be at all difficult and would actually be an economic boon to both countries.
We're
just to do that for every country that we set it up with.
I got a quick question for you, for Alec and as well as Cass, whoever wants to answer it really. If you guys are for abolishing completely ICE, which is okay, that's y'all's argument, what are you going to replace it with? If there's people in the interior of the United States that are here illegally, what are you going to replace it with exactly?
The problem with the INS was overly bureaucratic. It was incredibly bureaucratic. It's why we have all these weird, goofy loopholes. It's why we have all these weird, goofy statuses that don't really help us. Things like humanitarian parole. It was useful for after the Iraq War, not very useful now. T visas or trafficking victims. There's a certain level of ambiguity there, but we're only talking like 5,000 people a year. So all these different statuses, you add them up, and it becomes three really like standout ones. That's visa overstays, unlawful entries, and dreamers. Now, my big concern is with the unlawful entries. That's where your real problem is. Those are people that willingly walked across the border and stayed. Those
so you like Trump's,
three components that are bad. And we should
you do like Trump sealing at least the border, right? As far as border encounters under Biden was like 20,000, under Trump nowhere even near that number. Is like in the hundreds.
I don't think it's an
so you do like that at least. So you do like that.
For the first time, more people are leaving the country than entering. I can't imagine why that might be under a Trump presidency. He must be doing a great job.
My question is, do you at least like that, border encounters? Do you like that? That's my question.
Not necessarily. Why would you like that?
I'm asking
okay. Just let me ask you something. What's wrong with people wanting to come to our illustrious? What's wrong with people wanting to come to our illustrious, beautiful country? What is so wrong with that? Fewer border encounters. We want more people. We want more workers. We want more manpower. What are you talking about?
How about we just eliminate borders altogether and just become one world government? Is that what you want?
Those have been closed down.
Eliminate all borders.
You don't want to get into what I want.
United States, how about we do that?
You can't handle what I want. There's no way you can handle what I want.
Well, I'm asking you the question. Do you just want to eliminate the borders completely? Is that what you want? Because that's what you're describing right now. How about we just eliminate all borders?
Answer to that.
I do want the answer. That's why I'm asking you. Yes or no?
We're talking about abolishing ICE.
Yeah, well, you just brought up what's the matter of everybody kind of coming in, whatever. I'm asking you, do you want to just abolish the border while we're at it?
Okay, what's the problem with somebody going from like Indiana to Ohio? Anything?
Because they're both fucking U.S. citizens. There's nothing wrong with that. But again, answer my question.
Oh, okay. So it sounds like
eliminating all borders.
Okay. Yes, actually, eventually, yes. That is my goal. Yes, eventually. Not tonight, not tomorrow, but eventually, yes. Does that help?
That's what you want.
Does that help?
Realism, or how do you?
That is my eventual goal.
Yes. You agree with them? Yes.
Do you want to like conquer?
I don't care.
Eliminate the borders, or how do you want to eliminate?
But that's not what we're talking about tonight. We're talking about abolishing ICE. We can start there.
Yeah, but if you
just to be clear, border abolition is way far down the line. Way far down the line.
The reason border encounters in and of themselves.
Jake, I just want to throw something out there. See, me and Alec, we have different positions. I don't think borders should be abolished. I think that's stupid, right? So I think
it is dumb.
Stupid. Let me finish. We both agree, though. He probably thinks my position is stupid too. We both agree, though, that what ICE is doing when it comes to masking is something that looks authoritarian, something that poisons the image of the community. And something that's interesting is when I went to these protests in Minneapolis, I'd meet little old grandmas with signs that said things like "Rein in ICE," which was fascinating to me. That's the most moderate, like kind of like, could we please regulate our boys a little bit more? And I remember talking to her about it. She said, I just think they need to act with a little bit more dignity. That was this old woman's position. She drove 60 miles out there. That woman is now in the same camp as the person who wants to abolish borders. That's what ICE behavior has done. That's what things like
Did you ask her what she meant by dignity? What does she mean by that?
She meant like they should be it was like a 1 minute interview. I was going from person to person.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Maybe just acting legally, right? Maybe just have ICE stop violating the fucking Constitution like it's nothing, right? Like maybe have ICE agents that aren't willing to break into private property without a judicial warrant, right? Like I feel like that's a super easy ask.
Wearing masks?
Huh?
Yes. How do you exert your Fifth Amendment rights when the person that's accusing you is not able to be addressed in any meaningful manner?
Well, they will still be able to be addressed. Obviously, like people know their identity within the facilities of ICE, right?
Do they?
So yeah,
Well, yeah, but then you're relying on
What are you talking? They do have badges, so they know who's who, even with the mask. So
if
you
they have
can
the badge,
easily
what's the point
still
of the mask?
You could okay. No, you do realize after the Alex Purdy death that happened, the two individuals that shot Alex Purdy, their faces were all on the internet. We knew their identity, regardless of that. What are you talking about?
If they're
So they can still do it.
Good, right? And that's
because of the doxing. Right? That's why they wear the mask, Dylan.
But if they're going to be doxed anyway,
they got to protect themselves.
You said they have their badges out.
Let me accept that.
I didn't say they had it out.
I'm accepting ICE officers get doxed, that they get shamed on the internet. Some people even go as far as posting their addresses. That hasn't led to anything yet.
Some go far as like literally shooting at facilities.
Shooting at facilities, but them getting doxed isn't going to change that. They know where the facilities are. I can show you where they are.
I'm not arguing that it's going to change that. I'm saying these are all the problems that we have. This is why masks will help mitigate some of this stuff.
Are we going to acknowledge that he keeps bringing up this?
I'm going crazy. But no, let me just quickly say, if what you're saying is true, that they're getting doxxed and this is all horrible, I agree. And the people who shot Alex Purdy got doxxed anyway, I agree. That shows that even if you have the masks, this thing that's damaging your position within the community, hurting your image with the little old grandmas to Alec Gunter.
You still haven't addressed the cartel stuff,
why keep the mask if they're going to get doxxed anyway?
Address the cartel.
Well, again, the reason why they wear masks.
Talk about the cartel.
Address the cartel.
I don't want to answer your question, Dylan. Move on to the cartel.
We can move to the cartel, but
that's part of the job is to deal with the cartel.
Dylan just made this point. Address the cartel.
Is that to
I would like to address
the family? American
address them directly, Dylan.
Enforcing immigration law from a foreign entity.
Do you think that the El Paso police who used to do the detainers at the border?
Well, he's talking to Dylan.
To be clear, I think that, of course, they put their lives at risk when it comes to the cartel, but it's not just them fighting the cartel. A lot of it has to do with drug enforcement. Do they get to mask up? No, they don't. Why is it just ICE officers? Are we going to expand masking to now drug enforcement?
Because ICE officers are the ones going inside homes.
ATF officers who could go to your house, take your gun, are going to be masked up as well. See how far this goes?
Kick down doors too. The DEA don't get to wear masks. They kick down doors. The SEALs and Rangers that they deputize at the border whenever it gets really bad down there, they don't get to wear masks.
How many masks were there?
Yeah,
no one gets to wear masks.
Donald Trump, the reason why is because of Donald Trump and the left.
Okay. Here's why our officers don't wear masks. Because they have.
Like, in one instance, you're supposed to be protecting our people that are enforcing the law, and you're just throwing them up to the cartel for nothing, right? Like
it's their job to protect us, dude. What are you talking about?
Yeah, no shit. And we have a duty to.
You should also let them do their job. You should also let them do their job.
Are you kidding me? Do we have to protect the officer? What are you talking about, man?
We have to not let them do their job? What are you talking about?
Communities in a different way than what that other law enforcement officers do. You can critique, and I've been listening to all your critiques about the organization, and sure, there's always room to improve, right? But there hasn't been any argument been made as far as this question is concerned that actually has me go, we should move away from the position of them having masks. I still think that their privacy, right, with regard to foreign entities that would potentially do them harm should definitely be considered. And it shouldn't just be so laissez-faire overlooked as if their safety doesn't matter as American citizens.
So does the DEA safety not matter?
That's not how we protect it.
Okay, before somebody responds to CTV, I just want to throw out here that we are about 5 minutes left with this topic. And after that, we will switch to the second topic of this panel. So
CTV, does the DEA's...
CTV, go ahead.
Sorry, does the DEA's safety not matter, CTV?
The DEA does mask up for a certain war.
They are enforcing a different type of law. The difference being, right, it's immigration law versus drug enforcement law. I'm sure that when immigration officers go in and there's drugs sitting there, they probably shoot DEA a call. They probably shoot ATF a call if there's weapons there, right? And then
do you think the cartel has it out more for ICE or for the DEA?
But do you think the cartel?
I think
that's actually an interesting question.
Hold on.
I would wager it's probably equal now.
I would think it's almost certainly the DEA.
No,
it's certainly the DEA, bro.
But the DEA operates on foreign soil. They're in their neighborhoods.
Was I asked?
It's the DEA by a mile.
Was I asked the question?
Sure.
I think I was asked the question, right? Right, I was asked the question. Okay, cool. So Jeb, repeat the question because it took us a minute to get back control of the room.
Yeah. So after you confirmed that the DEA safety does matter, we were going down that path, and you said, well, they're not doing immigration enforcement. But what do you think the cartel has more of an interest in stopping? ICE, who are just setting people out of the country, or the DEA, who are coming to their country, kicking down their doors and raiding their drug facilities? Who do you think the cartel wants to hurt more?
It's both now.
Well, I think specifically if they have to be able to maintain a network on both sides of the border. So specifically, I would think immigration, because that ensures their network on the other side where it's away from the homeland. So with that in mind, right, if I'm the cartel, immigration would be the target specifically because I would be trying to put fear into people even trying to get involved in the organization. Right, because then if I could do that, then I would stop the recruitment effort, right? But because it's harder for them to be able to, say backdoor sides, in the shadow, affect the families like the cartel likes to operate, right? Because of the mask, it prevents them from being able to do that openly and on a mass scale, which if it was the other way, they would. And that's where it's different from where the different types of law enforcement get involved, because immigration does go further in, right, with a lot more, say, like they're looking for bodies. And that would be the other thing, too, is that, like, if you're trying to ensure your network, you would ensure workers, right, to be able to do things versus material things, right? Because the material things you can move from one place to another, but you can't always get more bodies, right? So I'd be trying to protect workers.
I want to jab to your point, though, about which is more, I would say until like marijuana took off, it was definitely the DEA. But now I would say immigration is probably equal to them, because at least here in South Texas, right, they're not necessarily, ICE isn't doing what they're doing in Minnesota and Texas. They're going after like legitimate businesses that are tied to the cartel. They're taking out the middle management. They're taking out shot callers. And like, I'm just going to admit I know some pretty high up cartel people. I've lived here a long time. And these guys are all fucking out of the country now. They're just out of the country collecting checks while the middle management people are at risk. And yeah, I get that. Like, okay, the idea that, ICE needs to cover their face, protect them. The DEA does wears masks for certain raids too. That's a thing. But like the idea that they are not affected by immigration when immigration has become a bigger moneymaker than marijuana now, I would say it's equal. Because like,
no, I'm not saying it's unaffected. What I'm saying is DEA has
about when you go DEA
the moneymaker now is
I get it. This is an irrelevant side tangent.
Yeah, no, it's not, because you're talking about when the DEA.
No, stop. Let me tell you why. Even if it is equal, like you're saying, that makes my point. DEA should also be wearing masks then. If ICE has an excuse to wear masks, they don't.
Yes,
they don't. I confirmed it just now. Even when going after dangerous cartel leaders, they have done maskless raids.
They have.
Yeah, because they don't need them, bro.
It's also the difference between general operations and a specified raid.
Yeah, absolutely.
People don't have warrant for the raids they're doing, man.
That language.
How is that not a much bigger issue?
Having done them, right? That language just means that they've done them.
But they don't broadly. Stop being retarded on purpose, okay? ICE wears masks everywhere they go all the time, even when interfacing with regular American citizens on the street. If you can point out 3 or 4 DEA raids with a mask, that is still not the same thing. And we've never thought that the police needed to do this.
They have an internal memo.
Always masks, but the DEA does use masks. I Googled it just now. The AI says they use them regularly, and I can think of several examples like here locally.
The AI said it. Don't worry, guys.
Yeah. I mean,
they do not broadly wear masks going around doing their regular.
Side on the mask thing. Listen, as a conservative, I agree masks are bad. We shouldn't mask up at all. But like otherwise, I'm on the opposite side. But like, this is a dumb argument. We're arguing really about the mask. Like that's the big thing y'all talking about.
Because they should be abolished. That's their whole argument here.
We have real fucking problems here. You don't want to argue about the goddamn mask?
No. He had more reasons. This was the first of many reasons, and we just got really tied up in it. But Dylan was about to go down the list.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We wasted a lot of time, but
that's perfectly fine. I'm happy that we at least got to the bottom of this thing. One last thing on masks before maybe we can move on. I think we're going to switch topics probably.
Yeah.
I want to respond to what Gibbs said about certain raids. Let's say we accept that in certain raids. For example, let's say we're going to go take out El Mencho. I would be accepting of somebody wanting to mask up so their children aren't literally burnt alive by the most dangerous cartel on the planet. I could accept that. But when you have Customs and Border Patrol doing sweeps through the neighborhood wearing masks, that's a little different because Customs and Border Patrol are now interacting with regular people. I'm not a threat to Customs and Border Patrol. Somebody stops Gibbs on the road, he's not a threat to to the country. If this is high-level terrorists, people who are proven threats, and you're going after them and they've shown that they can go after you, I can understand that. But normalizing the idea that any Joe Schmo cop under any amount of threat or public scrutiny could put on a mask at any point and then hide their identity, like hide their badge number, is that something we're going to start saying too, that's perfectly comfortable, that's perfectly fine? And let me say, when I was interacting with ICE agents, I saw a lot of times them turning on the body cam a little too late. So when you have these masks, it also gives you a shield of unaccountability that a lot of people, even if it isn't true and they could still be held accountable, the mask makes them feel unaccountable. It makes them feel like nobody can see what they're doing.
Time is up for this topic. Thank you all, everybody. We'll do closing statements for this topic. We'll probably give you guys about 1 minute each, but keep in mind you will have plenty of chances to give a bigger opening statement at the end of this. Thank you. So we are going to start the closing statements for whether or not ICE should be abolished, and we will start with we'll do CTV.
All right. Well, obviously, as I stated to begin with, I wanted to make sure I was here so that the correct opinion was heard. You've heard everyone else argue around all of the things. No one else seemed to be as concerned about the safety of our ICE agents being American citizens whenever they're doing a job where they're rounding up people that are not legal citizens and then not trying to understand the obvious dangers to our people when it comes to doing that job. And then also, right, not tying together the fact that the leftists that are out on the street become more of a problem than they already are. They did a good job arguing it separately, but there was no tying together, right? We would have gotten to that in the next 10 minutes. That said, happy to have been here with all of you to have the conversation and looking forward to the next topic.
All right. Thank you. Next up, we'll do Dylan.
Sure, I'll try to keep it short and sweet, as I understand we're on a time schedule. Look, I like I said before, I think it either should be abolished or reformed to a point where it's not really considered ICE as it is today. I don't think the masks are a good idea. I've already expressed my reasons why. I think ICE has shown many instances of illegal entry and officers, in some instances, being seemingly trained to even possibly ignore whether they need a judicial warrant in certain circumstances, where they certainly would need a judicial warrant to enter private residences, which the founding fathers did say was one of the chief evils against personal liberty, was the idea that a officer of the law, a soldier, some agent of the state could enter your home without the judgment of an independent magistrate or dumbed down judge, right? So I think that these things, firearms training, I think legal knowledge, constitutional law, that's where the money should be going if you're going to be training these officers. If you want to get a bunch of new people recruited for any type of immigration enforcement, you don't cut down the training schedule to 42 days before masking them up and saying, good luck, go get them. You would want to make sure that they know what they're doing. You would want to not fire a lot of the senior staff that they did fire and have them train the incoming people. The people who are whistleblowing currently could have been training new agents, but it's getting so rotten to the core. And this is the main thing. The public trusts the show shot that you just need to wipe the board and start over.
All right. Thank you, Dylan. Next, we'll do Jeb. You go ahead and go.
Yeah. So my closing is kind of the same as my opening. I don't think we need to abolish ICE. I think we should reform it heavily. So I guess in terms of endpoints, I may not even disagree that much with Dylan and Rin, because they're sort of opening up this avenue of, well, if we reform it enough to where they don't recognize it as ICE anymore, then it's good. Because I think there's more to ICE than what people see on the outside as like the trademark ICE things. And I think if you got rid of the trademark ICE things to Dylan or Ren's satisfaction, it could still be much more useful than abolishing it entirely, because there's a whole administrative infrastructure back there. There are desk job workers. There's a ton of stuff there that if you abolish and start a new agency, you just open, one, a really big fiscal can of worms, but two, why not go back to the abolish the police, right? Why not go to the memes of like abolish the IRS, abolish every agency then that gets like sort of fundamentally hated by the public, now the go-to is going to be abolished because it worked with ICE. And so instead we should show that America has the capability and will, have enthusiasm for reforming consistently all of the agencies under the executive branch, because they should be consistently reformed.
All right. Thank you, Jeb. Next we'll do Rinyald.
Yeah, I think that, again, I said this in my opening, there is just kind of this internal rot that happens with a lot of the ICE leadership, and it kind of comes downstream from this constitutional theory that the president can just use the executive agencies to basically do whatever the fuck he wants to. Like, the fact of the matter is that, like, the majority of the ICE leadership, I don't even blame, like, the people who are too stupid to be normal cops, like, going out and, picking up brown people. Like, I don't blame the ICE officers in and of themselves. They're, getting money, and that is what it is. The place that I actually play, where I actually place the blame is like the lack of, accountability that we've had for the, senior ICE leadership. Like the fact that Greg Bovino came out and said that we don't need probable cause for arrest, we need reasonable suspicion. And the Trump administration argument in court against that was that he's stupid, he's not a lawyer, he doesn't know what that means, right? Like the idea is that there's so much like rot in this, there's so much like problems with all of the leadership. I asked about the administrative warrant thing, like the skirting around judicial warrants in order to enter private property. And the response I got was, do you think the masks are illegal? Like the idea is that there's so many like rampant constitutional violations. Again, like reform to the point of non-recognition, I would be able to accept. But right now, all I know is that like a secret police force like this cannot be in the hands of somebody like Donald Trump.
All right, that was exactly a minute. That was insane. Next up, we'll do Jake.
Cool. I'll try to keep it short and sweet. The opponents kind of, a lot of their argumentations were kind of ridiculous here. And I will tell you this, I'm going to try to be nicer in the next exchange here in the segment here. But if I do hear something as stupid as just abolish all borders and just make it a one world government, I might have to get a little bit more aggressive here, because that was the most retarded thing of the night. I think, Alec, that was you, bro. Sorry. But going on here, no way that we will ever fucking abolish ICE. That's a horrible idea. We need a police force or a force here to actually take out people within the interior of the United States, especially after Joe Biden letting in something around 5 to 8 million illegal immigrants in the interior after 20,000 encounters at the border average through his 4 years of office. So that's just something that is just completely needed, guys. I know you have an issue of how they act mean, etc. They're wearing masks, which is also just kind of ridiculous. I will say this. I know Jeb, is it Jeb? Yeah, Jeb was making the argument like it needs to be reformed. You know what? And so did Dylan. I would say, you know what? I'm fine with it being reformed as long as we get the same fucking results from it. Because under Biden and under many of the other administrations, we didn't get that. So if we can reform it and still keep the same results, I'm totally fine with that. And I'll leave it at that, man.
All right. Next up, Kazim.
The entire thing's bankrupt, morally bankrupt, constitutionally bankrupt. They've released a shadow memo, basically the same thing that took Enron down, one of the highest levels of corruption we've ever seen in our history. And they're basically doing the same thing in our government to tell them that they can violate our rights. It's unhinged. The legal theory that backs all of this up has been shot down 4,400 times. That's an insane number. Anything that you've seen for like the election, that was like 65. This is what, 75, 80 times that. So it's just a crazy idea to think that this is at any point a constitutional organization that's designed or built or enforced by the Constitution. At this point, they've violated more rights than they've enforced laws. I don't really see a way back. If there's a way back, I haven't heard it. Nobody's presented any kind of constitutional, anyway, reason why it's valid.
All right, Admiral Gibbs, you're up next.
All right, yeah, I mean, this has been very enlightening. I gotta be honest, I'm very disappointed with how this goes. I think reform needs to be done. We need to streamline shit. But, like, the fact that we sat here after I even tried to grant to the lefties that masks bad, and we sit here and argue about masks for another 15 minutes is a real problem, because this really gets lost this year. You know what? I'll even grant that we should probably take ICE out of Minnesota. I don't give a shit about Minnesota. We have real fucking problems here, and y'all are going, ha ha, this is so bad. Listen, we didn't talk about the legitimate businesses the cartels own in these cities. We didn't talk about how they're taking advantage of the loopholes where, you just land on our land and suddenly you get to go through all our trial and you get like caught and release, or you got 2 weeks here or whatever. We didn't talk about none of that. We didn't talk about people that are literally dying down here. Like, cartel killings happen every day, like where I live. This is a real problem. But we didn't talk about that. Instead, we talked about masks. This just show me that when these people say they want reform, they don't actually want reform. Mr. Gunther here, he said the same thing I said they were going to say in my opening. They said, who's going to pick our crops? Like, this is a good thing that these illegals are being basically wage slaves. They're fucking American ag over. And then we're going to give them amnesty? Cool. You know what? I'll grant them amnesty. Let's just grant them amnesty. Let's get this over with. But right now, they're being wage slaves. It's a problem. They're being abused. We're having sex trafficking in mass. We didn't talk about none of this. We didn't get into any of the nitty gritty. Instead, we argue about max. And honestly, I know that people weren't intentionally being bad faith with us, but it seems bad faith to me when this is an issue that we deal with daily. I deal with coyotes coming and destroying my ranch regularly, once a month. I deal with cattle being killed to be eaten by these people. I deal with all this shit all the time, and we didn't talk about none of it. So I hope we talk about some of these issues in the next section.
All right, and finally, Mr. Alec Gunter.
Yeah, my position hasn't changed. Like I said, I see ICE doing more harm than good. I don't see how they've improved my life whatsoever. I don't think that the work that they're doing is at all good. Like, it's like, again, when we have that many people dying in ICE custody from like lack of medication, for instance, or like, again, with this whole, like, okay, when I said 50% of the farm labor in this country is done by undocumented migrants, I am not saying to treat them like dog shit. I am saying to give them fair working conditions, because that's already the work that they're doing. A lot of them are probably going to stay, if not most, and do that, even if they have the opportunity to do something else. And it just doesn't make sense to me to give them the fucking boot. It doesn't make any sense. And I don't think that ICE does good work. And I don't think that even the work that ICE claims to do, they're even doing, frankly. So fuck ICE, abolish them. I don't care.
All right. Thank you all for doing this debate and this topic. We will take a brief intermission before we get into our next topic. So
how brief is brief?
We'll say roughly 2 to 5 minutes. So
okay.
Yeah, we will catch you back whenever we are ready to start the next debate.
You guys have a few minutes to take a shit.
Thanks,
To be clear, Mr. Gunther, I don't think you're coming at this from a negative, malicious standpoint. I just want to make that clear. I don't think you're being malicious with when you say this, and I don't think you're advocating.
No, it's all good.
I think that's kind of what's happening, but we'll talk about it later, I'm sure. I just wanted to say that I was not trying to be like, he loves slavery, like, even though I kind of.
No, it's even better, Gibbs. He's based, okay? He's a leftist who is advocating for eliminating the minimum wage. Now, he's only wanting it to be eliminated for brown people, but maybe we can move him to maybe just abolishing the minimum wage for everybody.
That's what I was saying.
And then everybody, every man's their own strawberry picker, you know?
I
just want to say I didn't think you were being malicious whenever you were saying these things. I just wanted to make.
I know. I don't think anybody here. I honestly do not think that the overwhelming majority of people on this planet want bad things to happen to people. I just think that people reach very interesting conclusions sometimes. That's all. Anyway, I really have to go to the bathroom, so I'll be back in like 3 to 5 minutes.
Be clear, I'm one of the other people. I want bad things to happen to people.
Nice. Come on, Dylan.
Hmm.
No, I'm like, come on, Dylan. Yeah, but I mean, this was a good discussion. I wish I could have addressed the cartel situation about the mass stuff. I think there's a huge differential between ICE agents and the individuals that go after cartel members. Obviously, the cartel doesn't have an entire lunatic army of leftists that can burn down buildings and cause, $20 billion dollars worth of damage.
No, they are already having violence.
I'm not trying to be
well, I'm not. I'm saying in America they don't.
Okay.
Yeah, in Mexico they do. Sure. Yeah.
They just did it.
Yeah, I was talking about America. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, so I think this is why like they're safer from like the docs.
They do got shooters.
Yeah, they do.
Go after
they do.
The United States.
100%. I totally agree with you on that. I totally agree with you. And by the way, I'm also down at the border here. I think I live around like 30 minutes away. I'm in Texas. I'm in the Rio Grande Valley, bro. Yeah. I'm in the Rio Grande Valley, dude. So it's like 90% Hispanic. So I am, part of that community. So I have seen it. I've heard stories here, man. And by the way, during the Biden administration, you should have documented the border during that time, bro. The border at the time when Biden was there was a ton of people trying to get in. At one point, the Mexican government were actually giving some of these guys jobs because there were so many cleaning toilets and stuff like that around the tourist attraction here in the United States.
I've thought about
like Matamoros.
Sorry,
yeah. No, just like Matamoros and Progreso is one of the big ones. The entrance is McAllen, the other one's in Brownsville. So there was a ton of lines of illegals trying to get in, man. It was crazy.
I thought about going to the border, but then I was told there was two invasions, one of America and one of Ukraine, and I said, which one has tanks? And I went to that one.
Yeah, I got you. It's more exciting. I got it.
Both have tanks. You've never seen the cartel tanks? Also, I didn't know that anybody could have a more Texas Spanish accent than me, but you beat me, Jake, by far. Like,
did I really?
That was
Holy
shit. That was the most Texas Spanish I've ever heard. That's a good thing. But
there you go.
Texas Spanish, but you got me beat by a long shot, Paul.
I think I got more Mayan blood than you do, Gibbs. So I'm just saying.
Mayan blood. Yeah, I mean,
okay. There you go.
I'm the uppity Spanier, I guess.
Yeah, well, you got the red hair. You're Carnello, right?
By the way, Gibbs, I gotta say, I love the at the start. This might start another civil war afterwards. By the way, I love you, man. Like, everything's chill. This is fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We do good work together, Dylan. We always do good times.
And by the way, guys, don't take anything that I say personal when I call you like a dumbass, something like that.
Fuck you.
It's just kind of in the moment. Okay, fuck.
Oh yeah, we're all
kind of in the moment. I'm not trying to fucking like stir shit. It's just me.
I've already got a lifelong vendetta, buddy.
Oh yeah, there you go. Sorry.
I do have a question for you, Jake. Do you think people at the ports of entry are illegal?
Of course, they're illegal immigrants trying to get in.
But they're at the port of entry. Isn't that the legal way you do that?
If they're at the port of entry, yeah, they're not legal though. That was your question.
Not yet.
I think they're legal.
But that's the legal way to do it. So if they're immigrants,
it's the legal way of doing it, but they're not legal. That was your question. So they're not.
But wouldn't that make them legal?
No. How would it make them legal?
They're seeking a legal path.
They're seeking it, but doesn't mean that they're legal. That was your question. I'm saying no. Pretty simple.
How would it make them illegal?
You wouldn't make them. What do you mean? What are you talking about? You wouldn't make them.
I asked you a question, right? How would it make them illegal?
I'm not. Well, because what I'm saying is, because they're at the border, they're not in the United States, etc. They're not legal. They're not legal to the United States. Therefore, of course.
So they're not immigrants yet.
Oh, okay, fine. But at the end of the day, if they do illegally, then they would be illegal immigrants. But if they're at the border, even if they're trying to get in legally.
Look, Jake, you can't use that language in the same context because then it creates these other things in people's minds, right? You can't say illegal immigrants.
So what?
Right? Specifically in this
other people should know the difference of what I'm talking about here. It's not that hard.
So what is
not that hard to understand?
Oh my god!
It was a simple question, bro. Stop losing your mind.
You're a fucking idiot. You legit.
Okay, I'm a fucking idiot.
You're being disingenuous.
You're literally on your phone. You barely even contributed to this debate, but okay.
Oh, you're right.
I did want to bring this up.
I'm the
CTV
one that owned the debate and fucking.
You owned it?
Yeah.
You owned it?
You refuted.
CTV did mog me.
All over the debate. I didn't get
refuted. He mogged you, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
He totally mogged your ass. He owned it.
Concern of the government and why it is that they even had why they're doing this anyway, right? So
Renyal, this is why I don't like partnering it up with fucking retarded MAGA guys, because they make us look bad. I'm sorry. I apologize, lefties. I have to apologize.
For the non-retarded
Oh, I
MAGA
baited
guys.
that. I
Yeah,
100%
I'm
baited that out. I don't know if you thought that.
I apologize.
Whoever figured the mask thing out, whoever did the mask thing, that was an excellent strategy, by the way. I hated it.
That was Jake.
You're talking about.
I just paid him back.
You create these things in people's minds. That's the whole problem. So you want to talk about somebody that's actually.
Yeah, so again, who cares if I make that? I'm doing a debate, you fucking idiot. I'm doing a debate. What the fuck are you talking about?
You should be a skilled linguist, and you're not.
This is.
I tell you what, this.
I'm not.
Go do some
You're the one yelling at the top of your fucking lungs, bro.
Jesus Christ.
You're really great at articulating yourself while you yell like a fucking lunatic. Yeah, okay.
Jeez.
I don't know how.
Again, I apologize to the lefties. I apologize.
Talking, and I'm just going to keep going. I'm just going to keep going, right?
Jeff, how you doing? Doing all right?
I apologize to the lefties that we have a retarded MAGA guy on the panel.
I just keep doing it.
Sorry, guys.
And you know what? If the moderator, right, is going to rein you in, the moment that he starts trying to rein anybody else in, it's going to create disingenuousness, and nobody's going to want to be a part of that. Jay.
That's true. Say is the only anchor baby here. My point counts twice. Okay, thank you. That's it.
Okay.
Twice.
Well, yeah, like I said, I'm sorry, Renyal.
And if I die,
I'm sorry, Dylan. Sorry, guys.
I love CTV. Okay?
I didn't put the panel together. I did not put the panel together for this retarded MAGA guy.
I'm a fan.
I'm sure you are, Renyal. Sure you are. It's easy, low-hanging fruit for you guys.
Right as soon as the debate panel didn't start and he started arguing with Gibbs, I was like, okay, perfect, we're good.
Yeah.
Hey, I think a CTV is more of a heavyweight than you give him credit for, man. He was happy to be champion. The last one. He had the belt. The belt lost in the Great Fire.
Yeah. I don't want to misconstrue anything. Anytime that I'm talking about CTV, it's negative against anyone who CTV is warring against. All right, I'm a CTV fan.
I've always been CTV's number one fan.
Jake and Gibbs need to fall in line, I think.
Oh yeah, you're trying to change us, bro. You're trying to change us.
That sounds very.
I can change him, bro. I can change her. I can change her, bro.
You make a good point whenever it comes to the leftists, but you are incapable of being able to expand your mind past the one point and understand how there are multiple things happening at the same time. Especially whenever you start getting hammered.
Is he talking to me or Ringo? I don't know.
I'm gonna eat. I hope you don't care.
I'll be honest. That's why we got.
I'm bad at articulating myself.
One thing, and you failed, and it took me coming along and saving you by bringing up the cartel before the right side of the argument was going and actually making a comeback. You are not.
These are all very valid.
All right, everybody.
Me, okay, I wasn't too sure.
Let's
His articulation is so great, I couldn't understand it. Such great articulation.
Where can I
understand
change parties?
That's crazy.
Yeah, draft Gibbs and Jake over to us, and we'll go.
I think we should get into the next part of the debate.
I brought up my opening. I brought it up my opening, CTV. I brought up the cartel, not you.
He brought it up in relation to mask.
CTV.
All right. So we're going to get ready and start this next prompt of this debate. We kind of touched on this topic a little bit in the first section. But I hope maybe we can, since we did do that, maybe we can get more of a discussion rather than talking about masks for 45 minutes. I'll go ahead and read the prompt. The presence of undocumented immigrants in the United States is an often discussed issue. Concerns range from dangerous actors hurting citizens to a shifting cultural landscape. However, many defend the presence of these migrants as largely honest, hardworking laborers who deserve legalized status and fair working conditions. Please tell us whether or not you support the legalization of most or all of the migrants or not, and if so, why? And we will start. Who hasn't gone first yet? Alec hasn't gone first.
I haven't.
Jake hasn't. Dylan hasn't.
Yeah, you put me last both times.
I haven't.
My bad.
Okay.
We'll let Jake go first this time, and Alec, you'll be second. So Jake, we'll go ahead and time this maybe like 3 minutes for an opening.
Okay, sounds good. As far as the idea of, well, they're not all bad people, I can agree with that. And most people aren't. I totally understand that. However, at the end of the day, the actual situation here is that they crossed the border illegally or they don't have legal status, and I think they should still be deported. I know individuals that have been here for 15 years having illegal status, never even bothered to actually get citizenship. I think those people should also get deported as well. So my stance here is that if you're trying your best to kind of actually get in here legally, like actual legally, and you want to assimilate to the United States, I could be fine with that. But at this point, because we have so many illegal immigrants in this country, I think it's the right thing to kind of deport all of them and kind of mitigate a lot of the issues that we have here. Is that these illegal immigrants is, you know, we have fuck ton of them right now. So yeah, I would say from my status is yeah, deport them all. Don't really give a shit, and I'll leave it at that.
All right, Alec, 3-minute timer starts now.
Yeah, I just don't understand why people would want to deport them all. Like I said, most of them are here honestly, just doing work. They're just workers like the rest of us. They're just people like the rest of us with families and goals and aspirations and things that they want to do with their lives. And they will do the work if we take the time to invest in them. This is more of an argument for generalized welfare, but I think that if we simply make conditions easier for people who are here undocumented to become documented, you know, we'll solve a lot of these problems that we're having without the need to get rid of anybody. Like I don't think that we're so overpopulated that we need to worry about culling people. Okay. Like we haven't hit that point. I think the more people, the better at this point. That's more bodies, that's more labor that we can put forward, you know, just like the rest of us are doing. And I'm in favor of blanket amnesty. Honestly, blanket amnesty, let them just keep working for us. They're doing good work and they should continue that work with fair pay and safe working conditions. That's all.
All right. CTV, you're up next.
Yeah, so like Alec is he definitely has like the worst ideas. And anybody that thinks that's a good idea, you have the worst ideas. And to Gibbs' credit, right? He's already made this point, right? Alec's just looking for the slaves, right? I mean, geez, so Alec, just hammer him on that, right? You got it, bro. Besides that, right? We are not going to be in a situation where it's okay to have people in our house that shouldn't be there, right? You wouldn't be okay with that. I'm not okay with that. Nobody else that lives in this house is okay with that, right? So we need to have the law enforced. Doesn't matter how long 15 years, like Jake said, you've been in the country. I know people myself that's been here for a while. If you ain't bothered to assimilate, be a part of the culture, be a part of the country, then go back to where it is. Obviously, you feel comfortable, and that's it. Send them home.
I'm American, but okay.
All right. Rinyal, no, we'll do Kazim. Kazim hasn't gone in the first half of the group.
For me again, I'm so sorry. I'm dumb.
All right, yeah, of course. Let me get to it. The presence of undocumented immigrants in the United States is an oft discussed issue. Concerns range from dangerous actors hurting citizens to a shifting cultural landscape. However, many defend the presence of these migrants as largely honest, hardworking laborers who deserve legalized status and fair working conditions. And tell us whether or not you support the legalization or not.
Am I good?
And Kazim, your timer is starting.
Yeah, there's 22 million people living in this country that are mixed status, or households rather. 5.5 million of those people in there are going to be children. They're U.S. citizens. They live with an undocumented parent. You don't really have a solution for this. And if you do, I'd love to hear it. I've yet to hear the right come up with a solution for this that isn't just mass deportation.
Okay, what is going to be deported together?
Not while I'm
opening
talking,
statements,
man.
by the way.
Huh?
So these are opening statements, by the way.
I know. I'm positing it as part of my opening
that was at CTV saying you shouldn't interrupt the opening statement.
Thank you. I'm going to go back to it then. That would involve putting about 10 million people in the country into economic hardship. This would increase the homelessness issues. It would also cause problems with the median income of those households, dropping them by about a half. You're not deporting criminals. You're just orphaning kids to get some political wins. They pay about $100 billion in taxes, 25 of that into Social Security. They're literally paying for your grandma to continue to retire. The Cato Institute has said that immigrants contributed 15 trillion nearly in fiscal surplus over the last 50 or 30 years. That's $500 billion a year on average. And it's actually a much larger number now. The rate has gone up. There is basically no current path to citizenship that is legal after Trump's air quotes nixing all of them. I believe that there's a couple clear ways that we could make this happen. The same way that we have affidavits to get background checks or do background checks, we can use that for immigration. We can do that on both sides, from their country and in ours. Specifically for the people that are here, we give amnesty to the people that are not criminals and not stayovers. And that would also include people that are under that. The disagreement that we're going to have is that would also, for me, include people that are here overstaying visas and only basically exclude illegal crossers.
All right. Next up, we'll do Jeb.
Yeah, I generally would not give amnesty to most illegal immigrants, and there are a couple of reasons why. I don't want to incentivize for future illegal immigration, which you absolutely do, by just giving amnesty, because, you know, if that's what you did last time, you loaded up on illegal immigrants, that's what you're going to do next time. Now, there are caveats. One is I would be potentially open to large groups of them getting amnesty in exchange for some sort of state service. So like if you want to join the military, become a citizen, as we've done many times before, go ahead. Or potentially saying, okay, we're going to give nonviolent like dreamers and maybe visa overstayers a chance at amnesty. But if you get amnesty in this way, instead of self-deporting and coming back the legal way, you're essentially for a decade going to pay like a flat 10% income tax as your sort of penalty for having come here illegally. And that's going to just be enough to where it's going to incentivize people to come legally, but you still don't boot out people who have been here for 20 odd years. And if they have been here that long, they likely make enough money to where that flat tax isn't going to like ruin their entire life. So.
All right. Next up, Dylan.
Just want to quickly say that if I could just report all these Potbelly sandwiches as tax exempt, I would be a rich man going through all these documents. Okay, number one.
You absolutely can, by the way.
I can. It's just if I could stay outside of prison. Now, the first thing is I look at this from just an ends perspective. I understand by somebody ignoring American immigration law, they have said something about respect for the law versus standing in line. And that this is something that really gets on the nerves of conservatives from a law and order perspective. I also understand that our immigration system is unbelievably backed up. The amount of time that it takes to go and see your case go through an immigration judge, if you have a child in Mexico and you're trying to see an immigration judge for any number of reasons, it could be asylum case, could be anything, and you are trying to go through that system legitimately outside of the United States, it could take you 15 years. Your child could literally grow up in Mexico, in this area where you're trying to maybe flee for gang violence or any other number of reasons that could be completely legitimate, but because of how backed up the system is, it's not going to go through. This is a direct incentive towards people to take other alternative routes where they will justify to themselves, of course, I'm an upstanding citizen who would like to do this the right way, but I don't think I could do it the right way in the best interest of my family and my children. And look, South Americans are largely conservative people, more conservative than me, to be completely frank. And you can see that from recent election results where Latinos pivoted quite largely for Trump. So while I understand there could be anxieties about this idea of, oh, the Democratic Party wants this to fill their base with loyal voters. The idea that they're necessarily loyal voters is a huge, huge assumption. And depending upon how you speak to these new communities, which could be 2/3 amnesty, could be 3/4 amnesty, it could be determined by some metric that we would have to figure out. I understand if somebody just jumped the border yesterday, that keeping them saying, okay, you're in, that low of a standard isn't going to work. But going through a mass deportation scheme will not only be expensive, it'll be disastrous for the economy. And we have to find some way to acknowledge the fact that we fucked up our own immigration system to a point where a lot of hardworking people chose to go around it because they didn't feel that they had an alternative. I'm not saying to get rid of borders. What I am saying is we have to acknowledge this reality to deal with the situation, to make some sort of deal, and then lock down the border like a lock. You have drones on the border. I don't fucking care. Lock it down like a lock. If the system is effective and people can have their case seen, then I don't care. I would want drones on the border. I would want more patrols on the border. I would want to go after the coyotes. I would want to protect American ranchers. But our system is so flawed that it's going to incentivize a lot of hardworking, good people to go listen to those coyotes and take a death march through the desert. So I want to avoid that. I want to avoid the death march. I want to avoid the disaster for our economy. And I want to avoid these scenarios of 5-year-olds watching daddy get snatched up because we decided 25 years is not long enough to be in the United States if you're a hardworking person.
All right. Next up, Admiral Gibbs.
Yeah, I echo a lot of what Dylan said. I like, and actually Kazim, I think said this right. He's like, what do we do? What is the solution? I don't necessarily have the solution. The problem is it's multifaceted, right? We need a secure border. I think that it's been secured mostly by Abbott here in Texas. I think that Trump has tried doing stuff along the other borders. I think the border security issue has been, I don't know if it's resolved, but it's close to it. As for the integration, I agree we need reform. I'm going to tell you 2 stories real quick. They're anecdotal. But I have this friend. We call him Juan, too, because there was 3 Juans that work with us. He's from Guatemala. The guy was a legal alien when he first came here. He's a legal alien now. He works 3 minimum wage jobs. He owns a Porsche. He's got a fucking 140K house that he just bought cash. And he's got a fat American wife. This is the American dream. I'll take 100 of Juan, too, than over fucking 10 of these libtards that don't want to work, right? Like, I want more people that want to come here and work. That's cool. I like my Hispanics that want to work. They relate to me. I like to work. So when I'm sitting here looking at this, I go, yeah, we do need reform. We need to get some kind of reform. Amnesty? No, we can't do amnesty because these people, even the ones that are like law-abiding, they're still paying taxes to the cartel for their trip here, or overtime. They won't pay them, and then the cartel will call them up randomly, hey, we need you to open up this hotel room at this date at this time, and they have some sort of loyalty, or the cartel has some sort of hold. This is an issue. I don't know what the solution is because, yeah, it's bad. Now, as for devastating the economy, well, guess what? To Mr. Gunter's point about, 50% are in the ag field, that's a terrible thing. That's devastating the economy. The reason why beef price is so high, because ranchers can't compete with the corporate ranches that are fucking us with the illegals working there, right? That's a problem. Legalized slavery is fucking the American beef industry hard. Now, if you want to dive into this, I could go point by point. I've owned a ranch. My family's owned ranches for back to the Texas Revolution. I know what I'm talking about. It's devastating the American ag industry by not having fair wages, using slave industry. It's a problem. I can see he's laughing. That's fine. But he doesn't know. He's not a rancher. He's not an ag. It's just as simple. This is a real problem. Maybe the argument he could have made would have been the hospitality issue. Like hotels. Yeah, they'll be devastated. But I don't give a fuck about the rich hotels. I care about the 98% of family-owned ranches, which is 98% of American beef produced is by family-owned ranches that are getting outcompeted by 2% that are hiring illegals. This is a problem. It's devastating the beef market. It's devastating ag. And y'all think this is a good thing because y'all want to go, hey, we like slavery. Who's going to pick our crops? This is the same argument from 1865. Crazy work.
All right. Has everybody gone? I believe everybody.
Nope.
Not Reynold? Okay, Reynold.
Not Reynold.
3 minutes starts now.
Yeah, when looking at proposals of how to best deal with immigration, I think we need to do a cost-benefit analysis. It's clear to me that pursuing mass deportations, despite the estimated economic struggles they will cause, the ballooning deficit that they will contribute to, the reduction in social trust they will bring, and the rights that they will violate is foolish when 9 times out of 10, the benefits of mass deportation are either incoherent and not true, or better solved by an amnesty program. Amnesty would certainly remove the poor working conditions of illegal immigrants, raise GDP, make native workers more competitive with immigrant labor, and provide a more humane solution that adheres to our natural rights. The biggest concern I hear from the right that I may be sympathetic to is the problem that immigration poses a threat to national security. Mass deportations as a solution simply requires the creation of a police state. Amnesty would simply make it incentivized to report yourself. While there may be problems with amnesty, mass deportations are obviously a worse pathway, and the status quo under Biden and Obama is obviously worse as well. I think a basic proposal based off of the IRCA would be pretty good in the sense that applicants have to submit proof of continuous residence, pass background checks, demonstrate basic knowledge of U.S. government and English, and pay fees. Those who have been here less than 5 years would enter a probationary period in which they would get amnesty after 5 years stipulating good behavior. And those who had not passed the 5-year period would not be, or have not passed that 5-year period would not be susceptible to government assistance. I think that that's a perfectly fine proposal. I think a lot of Republicans would be willing to get on board with that. It's preferable to mass deportations.
All right. Now that we've got all the opening statements out the way, I'm going to start a 30-minute timer. I may extend it like I did with the last one, but the floor is now open.
Yeah, I mean, I think there should be a penalty in the amnesty program, but because the one thing it doesn't cover is incentivizing people to continue crossing the border illegally. We're never going to be able to stop it. But if they know that our go-to solution now, that we've agreed as a country that deportations are immoral or less efficient than amnesty, then they can pretty consistently rely on us giving amnesty whenever the immigration problem gets big enough.
Okay.
So I think it's better if people go through that amnesty program, they have to pay, again, a sin tax for 10 years. Like, you're just going to pay a fee.
I mean, I would be open to that theoretically. But,
huh?
Who specifically, like, are you like, what groups of people are you worried about crossing illegally?
I mean, visa overstayers are, I think, the most common. There's people who just
visa overstayers. That's who you're worried about.
It's not anymore though, but it was.
Those are the people that worry you, like safety concerns or what?
No.
What are people who overstay the visas doing to our country?
I mean, the entire South America is
again. They put downward pressure on wages in the sectors that they put
pressure on wages. How?
When you are able to have your wages stolen by your employer, right, and you can't report it because you'll get deported, you are effectively having a lower wage, and that employer is now going to hire more people who can have that lower wage than people who can have a higher wage. So the only way for the higher wage people to get those jobs now is to have an effectively lower wage as well. That's called downward pressure on prices. That's how
they would get amnesty, right? Everybody a couple questions to kind of baseline.
No, he's saying, why am I worried about future immigrants coming at all? He's trying to make an argument that what is the downside of illegal immigrants coming at all anyway?
You just seem scared of people from another nation. That's all it sounds like.
I think we could.
Just a couple yes or no.
Well, it sounds like it.
Yeah.
Sure.
So the first one: does anybody agree with Biden's policy on immigration?
No.
No. Does anybody agree with the previous administration, the Obama administration's policies?
Generally, no.
Generally, no. Okay.
He made good statements, though.
Hold on. We should apply Obama's drone strike policy to people trying to illegally cross.
All right. Follow-up question: does anybody agree with trapping the Rio Grande like Abbott tried to do for a little while?
Big fan of that.
No.
I do. Yeah. I think adding like harmful obstruction
is disgusting.
I'll tell you why it's not disgusting. Is because it actually prevents more people from being trafficked. I guess you like slavery. We
it's called deterrence.
It's called.
No, I just don't like people being maimed to death. I think that's a bad thing to happen generally.
I don't either. That's why I think they shouldn't.
Hold on. There's a follow-up question to this, guys.
Don't swim through the razor wire.
Do we genuinely think
it's not like we're chasing them with it?
Do we genuinely think that the cartels wouldn't have found a way around that very easily?
Well, that's not the point. We're talking about deterrence. This is why many of the people that are crossing the Rio Grande, if you have a big deterrence that they can't actually go over that, they're more likely not to do it in the first place. Similar to like what Gibbs.
Why are they
had a gun and I knew he had a gun, I probably wouldn't break into his fucking house. This is called deterrence. Under Biden, this is why he wanted to reject that deterrence, because he's fine with illegal immigrants at the time coming in.
Or maybe because he doesn't want to hurt illegal. Can I ask you a question real quick?
The cartel's been really hurting on like getting people through the Texas border. That's the way they've gone around because they haven't secured that shit. And like, yeah, some of it seems inhumane. But it's like but it's also deterrence. It's like effective. You know, it's hard to cross the Rio Grande when there's fucking death balls floating in there, right?
Yeah, logic. Wow.
But yeah, it's natural. Now they have to go through the desert.
Pretty logical, right?
Which is much more
supernatural. Why do you fear these people so much? Why do you fear them?
I don't think that's facts.
My whole life I'm killed by the cartel. Like, I mean, I'm sorry you haven't had that. Well, actually, I'm not sorry. I'm glad.
Okay, I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm sorry that happened to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real problem down here.
Okay, you cannot let trauma control policy. You can't let trauma control policy. You can't do it. Yep. It never goes well. Okay, it never goes well.
But hold on, you're
more humane. That's not the argument, Rinyal. The argument is deterrence here. Do you believe that more people would cross the Rio Grande if they had razor wires in front of them, rather than just say, you know what, I'm not going to do it? That's potentially dying.
Generally, it doesn't seem like that actually does disincentivize it. So my question is so there's a natural disincentive to coming to the country. I would like to finish my statement. Okay, there's a natural disincentive to coming to the country illegally, right? You don't get the same rights as a citizen, right? That's just necessarily the natural
you get free healthcare from the Democrats. Yeah, in California, that's an incentive. Actually,
I can finish my sentence. Oh my god!
Go ahead.
All right, go for it.
I think a much more preferable situation to this is just offering a better pathway to citizenship, an easier pathway to citizenship, because there's natural deterrence to not come here illegally. If it's easier to come here legally, I don't know why we would expect people to come here illegally en masse.
I will grant you that. I agree. We need an easier path to citizenship for people that want to come here and work. All right, let's grant that. Now, back to what you just said before that, though. Perfect. Before that, I want to prove that you're wrong here. Shelby Park.
Wait, are we kind of granting the whole argument here? Are we kind of granting the whole argument? It sounds like you granted amnesty your pathway to citizenship. I don't know what.
Hold on. Let me just finish.
Well, wait, Gibbs has always been for a better pathway to citizenship. I think everyone here agrees on a better pathway to citizenship.
What I want to say is, you say it didn't work. Well, it did work. I mean, I'm going to use Shelby Park as an example. It was one of the most easy crossable areas. It went from 1,500 people a day to currently 3 people a month. Not a month, a week. 3 people a week. 1,500 a day, 3 people a week. Clearly, it's effective and it deters people, and this prevents human trafficking. Like, I don't understand why. Yeah, you can say it's inhumane, it's mean, it's optically bad, but the good is people aren't getting sex trafficked. Like the people, because it's too hard to do it. So that's a good thing.
Let's say there's 3 doors, right? And I put barbed wire on one of the doors. I would expect less people to take the barbed wire door, right? But I'm probably going to just take another door, right? Is there any evidence that these kind of things decrease?
That's a good argument to put razor wire on all 3 doors.
I'll engage with that argument. Okay, door number 1 is the barbed wire balls of the Rio Grande. Door number 2 is the Chihuahua Desert. And door number 3 is, I guess, fucking flying in. Number 1's still the easiest one. Like, you want to go across the Chihuahua Desert?
Is door number 1 really the easiest one?
Yeah, over the other.
I mean, generally, it just doesn't seem like this is how people react to these kind of policies. It seems like it's not a super good disincentive to be super inhumane to pathways. It doesn't seem like this actually does a successful job at lowering people.
How would razor wires be inhumane? How would razor wires be inhumane? They're just deterrent.
Hold on. Okay. Everybody, let's chill out.
Inhumane is so lame.
I think you could probably influence that out.
Let Jeb get his point.
Yeah. Why the inhumane thing is such a side tangent? Let's go on the focus. You are using an argument that because Biden federally was not very aggressive at putting deterrence on the border, that Texas's deterrents were ineffective, because when they were effective, which they were very effective, 74 to 85% they report, depending on the area, people just went around their deterrents into the places where Biden refused to put deterrents. And so that means the deterrents are ineffective. No, it's only putting the deterrence in Texas was kind of ineffective in the grand scheme, but for Texas, it was extraordinarily effective. So this idea that this just doesn't seem to pan out in the data is wrong. Where they put the deterrence definitely was effective. The only argument that it wasn't effective is that they went to the places where we didn't put the deterrence. So put more razor wire and more of the rivers.
It's not practical. It's not practical.
It's pretty logical. What are you talking about?
Directed toward me, please.
All right. Jeb, who was that specifically for?
That was for Ren.
Okay,
Bring it on, yeah.
You can respond to that, and we can.
Yeah, I have a couple points. So the first thing is, it just doesn't seem practical to do that, right? It doesn't seem practical to put razor wire along all of the nation's borders. That's the first thing. The second thing is, I wasn't just referring to Texas policy and like under the Biden administration. It just seems like historically, these kind of putting these barriers in front of certain ways doesn't stop the want of immigrants to come into the country, right? And with like political, like, you know, the way that politics works, it's just not, it's not sustainable to this idea that we just put up a giant barbed wire wall. And I'm saying my ultimate point, which it doesn't even seem like
on most of the wall to border.
Well, it doesn't even seem like the majority of the people actually disagree with my prescription here, that it is preferable to have an easier pathway to citizenship. It seems like that does disincentivize illegal immigration.
They're saying it's not either or. It's not either or. You can put razor wire and then have an easier pathway to
onto the wall. Mount missiles onto the wall.
Money, though?
We already
Mount
have
missiles onto the wall.
It's not a waste of money.
Great. How about more?
If you give an easier pathway to citizenship, I'm just going to ignore it. If you're going to put a easier pathway to citizenship, you're not wasting money. That's not everyone is. You have this magical view that if we have an easier pathway to citizenship, no one's going to cross illegally anymore. We still need strict border enforcement. Even if we have an easier pathway to citizenship.
You still need border enforcement. Secondly, I think it would be way easier to just like, I think this just naturally follows. Everybody would want to go through the easier pathway to citizenship rather than going through the fucking desert in order to come into the country.
Unless they were interested in the economic benefit of being able to side skirt regulations, undercut labor, or bring in drugs. Like there are, just because they're not largely criminals doesn't mean
themselves don't want to undercut native wages. That's not what immigrants want to do.
Yeah, some of them don't. A lot of them don't. Some of them do, right? Just because we can't classify. Hold on.
Just because we can't undercut native wages.
No. This is the thing you're doing. You're monolithing. You're saying, do you think illegal immigrants, the one group that all thinks the same? No. They're not all criminals. There's still a lot of crime. A lot of crime that goes through the border. A lot of people are not interested in saying, hey, here's my name. Here's where I'm going to be. Here's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to cross the border now. A lot of crime goes through the border still. You still need razor wire to stop human trafficking, drugs, people who want to undercut labor.
Why would you need razor wire for that?
But
not only that.
What do you mean? So they can't swim through the river? Are you going to build a wall in a river?
So Rinal obviously doesn't understand deterrence. Yeah,
yes,
but not only
that's literally what they were doing.
Okay, here's a great deterrent. Ready? Carpet bomb the border. Just carpet bomb it.
Yeah.
Then we're good, right? That's a great deterrent, isn't it?
Based.
Nobody would want to go there after
not at all. But
if we got
30 minutes.
Then
we
that
got
way
30 minutes.
nobody crosses the border.
Like make an argument. We have a half hour. Like
what are you talking about? This is great. No, next to SAR bomb. How about that? We need to.
No, you're just inferring that we would say that that's a good idea. We're saying no. Make an argument.
Well, where's the end point? It seems like there is none. As long as nobody gets across the border, right?
To touch barbed wire. You don't have to go near it. It's not going to get you. It's not going to find you at your home and cut you. If you don't swim through the water, you're not legally allowed to swim through. You won't get cut by the barbed wire. It's not that hard.
Don't go near the carpet bombs. It's the same thing. Just don't go near the area.
Alec, not only that, when it came to the deterrence of the United States,
I'm not even going to engage with this anymore. We have a half hour.
I know you won't, because you know I'm right. I know you won't.
Sure. Look, I'll tell you this, Alec, wouldn't you, Alec,
is do the states get to decide whether or not the enforcement is done by the federal government? You guys missed the entire point. Yes, exactly. So why is Texas currently doing that?
I'll tell you why.
Because they are allowed. They're the same. Hold on.
We fought 2 wars.
Texas is. No, it's not about. It's not about secession. It's
now take it one. Nobody said secession. Nobody said
the state can't make the federal government do anything. The federal government can't largely make the state help with it, but the state can choose to do their own enforcement if they want to.
Yeah, that is also true. I would say that. Look, again, under
Mexico to establish Rio Grande border, but that's a whole.
Under Biden, under Biden, we had 20,000 illegal encounters at the border, guys. All right, so people are coming in. So of course, Biden wants to get rid of those razor wires.
Just encounter numbers,
and that's an incentive. They don't. So again, there's no deterrence.
Raising his hand,
under Biden, under Trump, under Donald Trump, we literally had many deterrents on that. This is why now that we have under Biden 20,000 on average a day. Illegal immigrants under Donald Trump, literally in the hundreds, guys. Okay, so this is the deterrence that we're talking about here, is that wouldn't you say razor wires, stuff like this, actually enforcing laws on the border would deter people from coming to the United States? This is why Trump is doing great on the border in general, guys. All right, it's pretty simple math.
20K stat. Was that a day? Was that a year?
That was a day. He had 10 million in his entire 4 years.
I mean, Shelby Park was 1,500 a day alone. That's amazing.
I'm sorry, it might have been it might have been 20K a month maybe, but it was somewhere around the thousands a day.
Was
it 20K a day?
Just Shelby Park was 1,500 a day, and there was other issue areas that had similar numbers.
Okay.
So yeah, 20K a day is well within reason. Maybe.
Yeah. So you guys would agree that that's a good deterrent, that we have Donald Trump that's actually enforcing the laws. Now we don't have to worry about the border. Now he's, of course, focusing on the interior of the United States, which you guys also have a problem with.
Whenever immigrants see all of their constitutional rights being flushed down the toilet by the Trump administration, why would they want to come here?
Sounds like another great deterrence. Yeah, great. Okay, cool. We already have like 40 million illegals within the interior.
Violating the Constitution is a deterrence. It's not good.
302,000 encounters on the southern border. September 23.
We're gonna let Dylan speak because Dylan has not gotten to say anything on this. And then after this, I want to hear what critically thinking veteran wants to say too, because he hasn't got to say much either. So Dylan, you can go ahead and start.
We seem to be mostly focusing on the border here and how to enforce deterrence. I'm not against deterrence, but I want to be careful that the goal is deterrence and it isn't just scary militarization. And what I mean by that is you can have a drone fly over in a desert where you've got nowhere to run. It's a fucking desert. And if somebody's passing that area, you can spot them, send out an agent, grab them, and that's basically it. There are many areas where you're not going to need barbed wire. And there have been instances where people have crossed rivers and then their kids get caught on barbed wire because after they cross the river, they don't know there's barbed wire. They didn't see it. So if the goal is deterrence, they have to see the barbed wire. They have to know it's there. They have to see the threat. But if the threat is somewhat hidden or obscured, if the goal is deterrence, fine. I understand deterrence, but I also think that we can probably achieve deterrence in many ways more humanely, or in when it comes to drones, just grab people. I think drones will really change the future of border enforcement. Definitely when we have one of the largest, we have a very long border, putting a full wall across the entirety of it is just not really a possibility. And it's a lot less expensive if we want to put money towards things like training and how to handle a firearm properly, which apparently we need to do.
Hey, listen, make the barbed wire yellow. I'm down for that. But you put it where you need to put it. It's cheap. It's easy to replace.
Look like, by the way. That's what does that hard to see? Dylan, just to be clear, you're pretty reasonable. Does this look like it's hard to see?
That right, honestly, I don't even know. That's barbed wire?
That's the death balls that they're talking about.
Yeah, the idea that somebody's trying to swim and then they'll get caught up in that and then they might drown.
Yeah, one person died that I know of with these, but this is the death ball. Is it hard to see?
So
I don't think the death ball is hard to see, but I wasn't commenting on the death ball. I would also.
I just wanted to.
I was talking about specifically barbed wire on where they cross the river and there's barbed wire on the other side of the river. They didn't realize there was barbed wire on the other side of the river.
No, I know you were fine. I was saying this is the thing that a lot of lefties, I'm not you specifically, were complaining about were the death balls. They were like, oh, this is killing people.
Bright orange
bad.
is clearly designed to me as visible as possible in order to deter. At least that doesn't mean that somebody couldn't try anyway and end up drowning, but that is obviously the purpose. Can I say one more thing quickly, because I didn't get to talk much and you were all having just so much fun. I didn't want to interrupt all the joy. I understand the hesitation from Gibbs because Gibbs seemed to like, somebody wants to work and make America better and help contribute. Fuck yeah. Gibbs doesn't have any problem with that. But the amnesty being a reward for the cartels, the people who are coyote, you don't like that. And I understand that. But I would say that those trafficked by cartels are also victims of cartels. And I think the better policy is probably to go after the cartels that are victimizing them in the first place. In fact, by saying we will deport, if we, we are doing that, but we can do that and work with them. Well, number one, if we work with these people and offer them, for example, hey, you can become an American citizen. Name all the cartel people, where they are, where they're hiding. We're going to go arrest them. If you want to go work in a construction company, fantastic. That contributes to America. That gets them citizenship. And
what if they don't have any intel on that?
That brings down
most of them
5
don't.
bad hombres. If you're trafficked by coyotes, wait, wasn't that Trump's word? Am I not allowed to say that? I don't know.
Yep.
Either way, what they don't have,
I'll give you a pass.
I don't believe these people that are getting trafficked have so much intel on the cartel, Dylan.
Some of them, I mean, if you're trafficked by the cartel, you have to have some knowledge.
Big intel to where they can tell the government to where they're
located. Every single
etc.
person. I'm just saying that it makes more sense to work with trafficking victims and going after traffickers than to make them both opponents of the federal government.
Yeah, or to make the state an opponent of the federal government, which is a big part of what this is and is turning into and has turned into over the last year. The reality is the Trump administration is not looking for amnesty for anyone. In fact, they've shut off a bunch of different classifications that previously existed for 20, 30, 40 years. There's no argument to be made that, despite us talking about this, that the administration will ever make any step this way.
Well,
and the more that they step and the more that they push, the harder enforcement of the border, which is a separate problem from the amnesty, becomes. Now, yes, the amnesty does affect the border, and as Jeb Tan said, the influence of people coming to it, but at the same time, it is not the primary mechanism for why people are coming here. Just because it's easy doesn't mean it's easy. And when you say it's easy to do legally, it doesn't mean it's easy to go from Guatemala all the way up to America's southern border. That's a huge motivation that it takes to get there.
I agree with that. This is why we need deterrents in order for them to not make that trip in the first place, because we do realize that when they do make those trips, I think it's like something like 2/3 of women actually get raped, paying the cartels going over there, that many people die on the way over there.
So agree, that's all bad.
That's all bad. But
that's what they're fleeing in the places they come from too.
Sure.
It's not a lie.
How do the traps
I didn't say it was a lie. I agreed with you on that.
Women not get assaulted? How do the traps help with that?
Yes, that's the big question you have to ask yourself.
I just said the deterrence. Or are you asking him or me? I'm sorry.
Well, I'm kind of expounding on what he's saying because Dylan has the right idea. We have better tech than a bunch of buoyed fucking spikes.
Okay, fair enough on that. Let me answer Alex's dumb question. Let me answer Alex's dumb question.
Go on.
Okay, so the reason why deterrence works is because when those women realize that
that's not what I asked. I asked, how do the traps help women not get assaulted? Let's make sure we're clear on the question.
Because when they know that there's a deterrence there, that they can't cross the Rio Grande through swimming, etc., that they could lose possibly their life, they're less likely to actually take that trip and not pay the cartel members to traffic them to the United States. Therefore, this is exactly what Trump did, where he was actually enforcing the laws. And now we have hundreds of encounters at the border compared to 20,000 a day under Biden. So yes, it works. It's just enforcing the laws. These
in
work.
The situation
not just
that
enforcing
person
the
is
law.
in. You said that this person is going to. You said they're going to what? Cross the river and then what?
And they have razor wires. Yeah, it could be that, or
what happens? They cross the river and then you said they pay the traffickers?
No, in fact, a lot of them get trafficked before even reaching the border. It's 2/3 of women.
Okay.
Under the Biden administration, yes.
So then what's to stop these traffickers then from just sending the traffickees over and like making sure there are no traps? Like this doesn't make any sense to me. The traps don't help.
Well, no, it's not. No, it's not their job. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
we're talking about deterrence, you idiot.
They do help.
We're not talking about deterrence. We're talking about deterrence.
Hold on. I have the direct answer for this. I'll turn it to you, Jake. I'm sorry. So what they do, I talked to a coyote a couple weeks ago. And this is what he told me. He goes, we Viva La Raza, we send the Venezuelans, the Guatemalans first. They get caught, and then we send our Mexican brothers afterwards. And that's what they do. All right, sorry, Jake. Go ahead.
Can I touch on the better
answer this question? I just wanted to answer that question really quickly. Go ahead.
I
want to touch on the better tech for the border thing. Again, he's making an argument is separate to yours. He's not saying they're impossible to usurp. He's just saying it increases the cost, which might make less people want to do it. Anyway, with the better tech thing, I agree we have better tech. The issue is the better tech is really, really expensive. So if I have 100 miles of border I need to cover, right? I have a couple drones that are capable of watching, let's say 25 miles of that border in a way that can report to where we can get there in time. These are hypothetical numbers. I'm not claiming to know that that's the case. What I'm saying is if you have, instead of buying 2 more drones to cover 50% of that 100 miles, you could lay out very cheap razor wire, or you can put better, like cheaper obstructions in 50 miles.
Why not do both?
Because it then filters Well, again, the razor wire is not inhumane. I'm not buying it. You don't have
definition of humane?
As long as you can see it, I'm not buying this. It's inhumane thing. If you can see the razor wire, it is humane. I get it. If you can't, that's bad, and they should make it yellow. That's going to be my answer. But what you do is 50% of that border is now covered by cheap things that they're just going to go around because just 25 miles, 50 miles down that way, there is no razor wire, there is no wall, so we'll walk around, and now you filter them in where you put the expensive shit that makes it easier to catch them. The deterrents work in concert with the expensive stuff to funnel people into hotter zones so that you don't have to spread investment across the entirety of the border.
All right, I just want to jump in here. We are getting close to about 5 minutes, 6.5 minutes left in this topic. I want to hear from CTV because I think he's the only one who I haven't heard from on this topic. So CTV, you have the floor.
Well,
he also dominated the debate, by the way.
And the peanut gallery had to say something to begin with. Amazing. So the tech thing is like one part of it, but like the reality is that the cartel's going to keep doing what they're doing. Drones are expensive. They shoot them down with guns or RPGs or whatever it is that the cartel can get their hands on. They've now compounded and made this problem that much more expensive for us to try to solve, which is exactly why you need to have the physical barriers in place all along the border, unless, of course, right, you have a globalist agenda and you're ready to start dominating the entire world and making everybody live underneath our laws. Otherwise, we have a border. We need to go ahead and start as a nation that's turning 250 years old this year, start actually acting like we're not going to, keep expanding and that we're going to be happy with this border where it's at. And we start doing the things necessary to control it in a meaningful way. Not just trying to throw money at it, right? And just assume the problem's going to get better. From, all of the other points that's been said, like we're still back to the left just wants to justify slavery in a different form. So that doesn't change anything.
How does giving people amnesty justify slavery? I don't understand this. We're giving them legal protections. How does that justify any slavery?
How are they slaves?
It's a stupid argument. I agree, y'all. I agree. It's a stupid argument.
TV. I feel like whatever he said, you would have agreed.
I get what he's trying to say.
Then there's the other argument, right, where you're saying that they're not criminals whenever the first act that they did coming into the country was in fact breaking the law. From the start, they've been criminals whenever they've done that, right? If they overstayed their visa, then they became a criminal the moment that they overstayed their visa and were not following the process.
So are you when you speak? We still don't deport you.
Every time they check tax evasion, the payment, it's continuous.
They pay taxes.
Number one, tax evasion is one of the most American things you can do. Number two, when it comes, I'm kidding. But when it comes to CTV's point about them, they broke the law. I understand, but we also need to think, what's the incentives for breaking the law here, right? If somebody, I'm sorry, the idea that I'm so hungry, I'm going to go take this gun and I'm going to go loot this iPhone store, that's not a thing, right? If somebody's hungry, they can go shoplift food. That's something they can go do, right? So
but Dylan, they were incentivized by Biden putting it out there to come across.
Yeah, but I didn't.
Yeah, but through healthcare and free schooling for their kids, etc. This is how they. Okay, I guess I'm not going to amplify your argument, but go ahead. I'll let you get this.
Don't amplify my argument because Dylan
I won't, bro.
And then you
go
just
for it, bro. I won't
interrupt and
go ahead, Dylan. Explain to this retard that your argument.
Control the whole thing. You've been doing it the entire fucking time. When anybody
come on.
I guess I'm pretty good at it, man.
You're not having a good faith conversation. You just keep running over other people.
Okay, bro. I guess, man.
Discipline.
I'm controlling everything. Yeah.
You have no mind discipline.
Okay.
Please.
Jake,
he's right. I am the most entertaining guy on the panel.
All right.
You guys can later.
That is true. That is true.
Out there. There are specific states where you can get benefits as an undocumented person, but the vast majority of people are not entering for those benefits. They're entering for work opportunities, which are going to vastly outpace their local opportunities in their home country with more stability, more money, and a lot of them are going to end up taking those funds and sending them back in reminiscence. So the motivations these people have are not the same that somebody who commits a crime like murder or theft. These are people trying to find a better life for themselves through committing the crime of illegal movement of human from one border to another, not murder, crime, rape. These are the vast majority of the people that we're dealing with. There are murderers, there are rapists, there are criminals. Those people I don't want in the United States unless they're in a jail cell. But when we talk about the majority of these people, they are hardworking people, and I think that we give them another opportunity if we can in the United States past a certain point. If they've been here for 2 years, I can understand saying it's 2 years. How deep can your roots really be? But a lot of these people, we're talking about 25 years. One last thing I want to talk about. This is the main thing I want to talk about before we got off on a tangent. Number one, the drones are less expensive. I'm sorry, but they cover a lot of area. I understand the idea we have in our head is of like Reaper drones. I'm not talking about Reaper drones, okay? We can get fixed wings drones, which could absolutely do reconnaissance missions at a pretty low rate. I know a guy, if the government needs to know somebody to go do this. And then you can get smaller, lower range DJI drones. We can do monitoring. And I want more of this because it is more humane generally than putting out like different, for example, I don't like the idea of people going out and pouring out the water to disincentivize people, because if they get there and they're thirsty and they're already there, then they could die. Whereas a drone can pick them up, we can put them in a contained setting, and then we can give them water. So I think this is not only less expensive, but it is also more humane. And also the coyotes could get caught in this method. The coyotes, when they see the barbed wire, they abandon the kids. They abandon the innocent people or the people being trafficked. They abandon the people then. But the drones, they can spot them before that point. Now, a lot of times they stay with the border. There's only so much you can do. But if you coordinate that with the Mexican government, which Trump has the leverage to do, you can get some real work done against the coyotes.
Yeah. When I say expensive shit, I'm not just talking about the drones, because I know that you guys know this when you say drones, but drones obviously comes with the caveat of you need the drone, then you need the vehicles stationed and ready to go get the drone and the people in those vehicles and the place for those vehicles to fill up. Like, you can have fewer trucks to go pick people up and they don't have to drive as far if you know you can funnel people into hotter areas and focus your investment in certain parts of the border. Because obviously with the send the drones thing, there's implied infrastructure there where once the drone sees someone's got to drive out there. You got to have someone close. You got to have a truck for them to drive.
I was specific about, I said deserts when I talked about my drone. I talked about the terrain settings where drones would be most effective. In a desert, there's nowhere to run, literally. So it depends on the area, of course.
Sure.
Yeah, so the incentivization gets put in whenever Biden is telling them to come across. The biggest thing that has done to stop and slow down the border crossings has been Trump saying, don't come across the border, right? It's the
I think it's just Trump's presence in general here. Like, people don't like him, so they don't come here.
Carry that consistent messaging, right? Then we can carry this forward, moving forward, right? The physical barriers still need to get put in place. The drones, that's fine. Surveillance is great. That way we can direct forces where they need to be, right? And we can operate a little bit more efficiently. But it doesn't stop the need for the physical barriers to be there.
Yeah, because the whole point of being able to give amnesty is that it is a shutting door and you make new pipelines. Rebuilding the pipelines and decommissioning ICE are the same thing. You can't have this absentee approach to the border while also trying to offer amnesty. It doesn't work because, as Jeff
I'm not trying to offer amnesty.
It creates a deep incentive. I'm trying to find a middle ground.
We know. Trust me, we know.
I feel like we've kind of walked past
people that have been here for 20, 25 years have had more than ample opportunity over the years to interact with the very system that they say they want to be a part of, instead of just being a burden on it, to where we're all sitting here as citizens trying to have a conversation as to whether or not we're going to let these people that have been illegally occupying this land this whole time, right, to be able to stay here as citizens with the same rights as the rest of us, simply because they waited us out. This is no different than squatters' rights, right?
They feed you. They feed you. They feed you. I don't know what to tell you.
I feel like we, as a panel, kind of walked past the initial proposition, which was like, should we give amnesty? I feel like we walked past that because a lot of the people here agree, even on the Republican side, which I appreciate. But like border enforcement, like what the particulars of that looks like, if it's like reconnaissance drones, if it's razor wire, if it's whatever, I feel like that kind of looks past the initial of like, well, do we think that an amnesty program should be going on? It seems like we kind of walked past that. I would like to know the justification for that.
Yeah, no, my point was they're linked. You have to do both. You can't do one or the other. If you do one or the other, you end up with the same problem that he was talking about. By the way, it's 15,000 a day, not 20,000 a day, and that's being generous. if
You
you
had your
don't
numbers
have
right.
that problem of people coalescing at the border, which is a problem, no matter which side you're on this issue, you have to have proper border patrol, proper border enforcement. And you have to have those things linked up and making sense and working in the same direction, not just two separate things that exist in the same place.
I mean, certainly. Go ahead, Gibbs.
I would like to get in here real quick, just because I'm pretty pro immigration reform. I'm pretty pro strongest border in the world. However, this is the issue I have with the amnesty thing: is how do you determine who's getting the amnesty, right? And I'm going to use Trinidad. Hey, big scary Venezuela guy. Ooh, and Trump really fucked us in the debate when he said talked about Aurora and their problems with Trinidad. I don't give a fuck about Aurora. Who knows if that actually happened? I'll tell you what I do know, and I have the sources to prove this: is Trinidad took over a low-income apartment complex here in San Antonio, right? And long story short, they basically had it condemned because of all the shit they're doing, and like 200 to 300 people lost their homes. They had nowhere to stay, and none of these people got caught. And I think 20 people got caught, but there was more. And some of these people were clearly never had any record. They were clearly associated with Trinidad. They're infiltrating. They're working here locally, yada, yada, yada. So it's how do you determine when some place like Venezuela, how are you going to get the records to determine, hey, this person's fine versus this person's, Trinidad. And this in Trinidad, I want to go on record, is very small, especially San Antonio. They're not actually like the cartels. But how do you determine who gets amnesty? I want to know what that looks like.
That's a great question.
I got to head out, so I got to head off. But thank you.
I love you, buddy.
It's been a good combo. I appreciate it.
Do you want to do an outro real quick or plug anything?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't really have any streams. I'm just happy to argue like an autist on the internet.
Okay, cool. Add me on Discord,
take
bro.
care, man.
Love to conversate with you.
Yeah, definitely. I'll add everyone here.
But yeah, the question would be, right, so you say no criminal record. I feel like that's important to kind of go back to no criminal record, right? But how would you, so you say they were clearly Trinidad. Well, how would you substantiate that in terms of your own determination? How do you know that they were clearly Trinidad?
Well, what I'm saying, they're clearly Trinidad. I'm talking about specifically the ones that were caught and have been convicted, and then ones that are associated. They're clearly part of this in some way that are associated. They just didn't have enough evidence to convict them, because we believe in evidence here in America. But at the same time, are you also going to give these people that are rumored to be Trinidad, or they have some evidence that can link them, that they couldn't prove they were definitively? Do you give them amnesty just because you couldn't prove beyond a reasonable doubt?
I mean, that's what that would be the use of 5-year probationary period, right? So if we say that, listen,
5 years, you can let a gang inspector be here.
Okay, but it's worth
if they're not doing anything, what would the harm be, right?
It's worth noting that already happens here. You understand that, right? It's just a random assortment of people in the United States that are born and raised to do certain things that are bad, and then where do we put them? We put them in jail. Okay, we don't have to deport them. And we don't deport them because they were born here, right? Why don't we just do that for people who already live here? Just to put them in jail if they do something wrong. It's no different.
Because it actually, it's actually a really shit thing on the taxpayers, bro. The fact that we have to pay to imprisonate these individuals that are not even from this country.
Hold on.
Now the taxpayers.
It just seems like the alternative is keeping them out.
No, I'm just saying.
And the federal prison program is $10 billion a year. I'm pretty sure that clears.
I'd really like this answer.
I didn't even hear you.
I'd really like this answer, though, because what is this look like? How are we going to get this background information? Are you going to go to Venezuela and be like, give me this person's records? Are we going to go to Guatemala?
If it's not available, that lowers their score.
I feel like we probably.
What does it look like? What is the reform that y'all want? Is I guess what I'm asking. What does that look like?
Score-based.
They don't have an answer, Gibbs.
Based on your current status.
Well, hold on. No. Cass, go ahead.
A score-based system, just like Canada, for example, uses, that uses your current status. So if you're here as a border jumper, that's a 0. Goodbye, get out. If you're here as an overstay on a visa, that's pretty bad. If you're here on a DACA, you're good. We need to do some background checks. You've lived here most of your life. There are different levels of the immigration process, that have been just completely demolished and removed from the system that would otherwise solve some of these problems. Things like immigration courts just not serving anybody at the moment.
Yes.
That's 3.7 million right there that y'all would call illegals that really aren't, but they need their court date to be not illegal.
Kaz, That's actually a pretty good point. If people are border jumpers, you would say get rid of them. Is that that's you're saying? As far as visas, people. Okay, great. So you would say like 60 to 70% of illegal immigrants, you want them deported, correct?
Repeat the second part.
So you would say that I think it's 60 to 70% came through the southern border. You would say you want them to deported.
About 5 million. And
so that's under just Joe Biden alone. We're talking about the totality. Would you want at least 60% of them deported off the bat then, right? Under your logic.
Are you including asylum seekers?
No, I'm including the border jumpers, the illegal border jumpers. 5 million
people, and no, I don't.
Do you think it's not 5 million? No, it's not 5 million people. Okay, it's 60% of the illegals that are currently in this country. Currently, I'm not talking about the border or anything like that. People that, because you're talking about the ones that go in here through the border. I'm talking about the ones that are currently here. Do you want them deported? Correct? Under what you just said. Wait, we can agree on that, right?
It even makes sense, man.
You stated that the border jumpers you're okay with, just like Canada. If you're a border jumper, you're here illegally, you want them deported, correct? So in the United States, we have 60% of them. That's the mass totality.
Where are you getting that number?
Hold on. Do you want them deported?
Do you want
Where are you getting that number? Because coming here through the southern border doesn't make you a border jumper, right? Like if you're saying gotaways, I think there's only like 2 million known gotaways in the United States right now.
No. Just answer my question. I'm not including the visa state people that are here.
You're just making it premise. We don't agree.
Actually, I'm gonna just take this.
Well, you just refuse. A little bit. Kaz is refusing to answer the question. Do you want them deported?
Let CTV do his closing first.
Let CTV do his closing.
I'm not getting my question answered.
We can just go into closings. I just want to say before CTV does the closing, thank you all for coming on here. I'm glad you are all a part of this. I love this debate. There are very good aspects to it. CTV, you have the floor for your closing.
You guys can find me on X at Polk County Lobo or username Critically Thinking Veteran. TikTok the same. I just want to thank God for all the many blessings that He has been bestowing on me in my life. I got to get up early in the morning to go to work. Thankful for that. And I would encourage everyone to start really paying attention to the world around you, because dinosaurs were killed in the flood. The fossil record is actually a flood record. And Jesus Christ is King. And with all that, wolf out.
All right. And as far Jake and Kaz, I would love to get you guys on a one-on-one, like a 1v1 at some point.
God, no.
You guys would be up for that.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, of course. You're afraid. Yeah, of course. You're afraid. Yeah, it's fine. No, but Kaz, I would love to have a discussion at least. If you don't want to do debate, I'd love to have a discussion. He can moderate it if you want.
Yeah. Platinum Politics would love to host that. Next up for a closing statement, we'll go ahead and let Dylan speak since he hasn't spoken in a while. And we'll let him close.
Man, I'm like done with like 40% of my taxes, or maybe 60%, as we were talking about earlier. 60%. Okay. So look,
Dylan, can I hire you to do my taxes, bro? Hopefully, you get me more money. Just do it for me, bro.
Yeah,
do my taxes, man.
I'll do your taxes. I mean, I'll put all my tax fraud through you, but I mean, I'll do my taxes. I'll do your taxes.
Let's do it, bro. Let's do it.
Okay, so I'll try to keep it short and sweet because I know everybody wants to enjoy the rest of their Sundays. First, I agree generally with the idea of a point system. Like if we were to determine who would stay in an asylum case, I think that you would have to figure out, number one, length of stay is something that can help you, but it's not an end all be all. Because for example, if you have a long length of stay, but you have also a long criminal history, then obviously that's something that would immediately disqualify you from being in the country. So here's a few examples of something that could help you in a prospective point system to show that this is something that, not only have other countries done, but I think this is something that maybe be able to work so we can determine where this point of change could happen, where you lock down the border, and place down the immigration judges and have this point of consensus between Americans. Number one, speaking English. If you can speak the language, that should be something that helps you, because that means you can assimilate to your community, you can listen to your neighbors, you can go to church in English. So that means you can go meet people and learn all sorts of, American shit, so to speak. Number two, I think obviously, like we said, crime. If you haven't had any criminal history in 25 years and you're staying in the country, then that's something that could help your case. The fact that you've been here and all you did illegally was enter the country or visa overstay, something like that, I think that's something that helps you. If you've been able to show gainful employment for a very long time, say you've been working at like a sheet metal factory, a car factory, something like that for 20 years, you've been able to do that. I think that could also show an ability to integrate with society, be a benefit. Also, we were talking about screwing the taxpayers. Doing this strategy where we're focusing on those who contribute the most, who are not criminals, and want to be hardworking, that's how you reward taxpayers. That's how you refinance Social Security for another generation. Whereas if you cut out a huge section of the tax base, I think that's something that is letting go of a potential asset for reasons that I think are too stringent. So that's basically my point. I think that we should have a point system, and then we should, after that point system is implemented, essentially a strong border.
All right. And would you also like to plug any of your things that you do?
Yeah, you can find me at Jake Var. I do conservative right-leaning content on the internet. Wreck libs, destroy libcucks every day.
Love it.
You can. I write defense articles for Offbeat Research, and I film war documentaries. I was on the front line for a year in Pokrovsk, on the front line filming that fighting, and I'm going to be back on the front line in a month at the hottest points, releasing documentaries about that. So if anyone wants to check that out, I'd appreciate it. I don't risk getting blown up for no reason.
And they're really good, by the way. They're good shit. You should definitely check them out.
Yeah.
Yes. And I also just want to throw this out here. Someone in our chat on YouTube said that you have really nice hair, Dylan. So
I was actually going to say, it looks like Dylan woke up on the wrong side of the bed, man. It's very frizzed out, man.
I have big poofy hair. I got big hair.
The moderator has really good hair right now. Like he looks like that was nice hair. That's nice hair right there. Sorry, Dylan. Like yours is kind of wild. You look like a lion.
I disagree. I think Dylan's hair is great.
Did you say my hair looks like a lion?
I'm number 2
negative?
at least.
You look like a lion as a negative?
What? Yes, because on a human being that looks retarded. That's why.
I think it looks great.
Lions are cool. Lions are cool.
I'll be the Maryland lion. I'll accept that title.
Fair enough. Lions are cool, but yeah, it doesn't look good in humans, bro. The main.
We all know that Alec has the best hair. Next up,
he looks like Tim Pool.
Yeah.
Tim Pool right there. Tim Pool. Alec Pool. Okay, sorry.
Hold on.
Yeah, I'll shoot out my closing statement. Yeah, I didn't get too involved in this type of exchange here because I did feel like I did kind of, was fighting with everybody in the last segment before. And it's all good. It's all good. But I did want Admiral Gibbs and Jeb, I believe that's who he was. They did a very good job kind of dealing with the liberals on the panel. All good. But I will tell you this, very happy to meet everybody on the panel, man. You can find me at Jake Var, Project VOPod on YouTube and Rumble. And of course, you can type in my name, Jake Var, on Twitter and Instagram, etc., and you'll find me there. But yeah, don't have too much to say on that. I was kind of just enjoying and shooting it out, man. That being said, God bless.
Awesome. We'll go Alec, Kazim, Gibbs, and then Reynald. I think that's a good rotation. So Alec, you have the floor.
Yeah, so I understand, some people find my positions on these things radical, and I understand. That's fine. All I'm trying to do, I'm not expecting everything that I want in the world to happen overnight. I don't want to abolish borders tomorrow. Okay. That's not my goal. I understand that there's a lot that would throw us into chaos. Okay. I get that. What I do want is that eventuality. So in the meantime, right, I'm willing to compromise. I'm willing to discuss these things and work toward the goal that I have in mind, the overall goal of just making land a thing that people can traverse freely, okay, for the most part. Obviously, there are some exceptions, notable ones including houses. You can't just walk up into somebody's house, of course. But for the most part, land should just be something that you are free to travel on. And that's all I'm trying to work towards. So as it pertains to the particular topic that we were discussing just a minute ago, I just think that amnesty is a no-brainer. Because, like I said, again, the overwhelming majority of these people are simply here to work and to contribute to our society. And they are doing so whether they're documented or not. And when they're undocumented, like it doesn't make any sense. Like, why not treat these people well? They're fucking feeding us. It doesn't make any sense to me at all why you would want to get rid of them. So that's why I believe in blanket amnesty. And I just don't buy this, frankly, bullshit that like we're worried about traffickers, because Donald Trump doesn't seem very concerned about traffickers. I'm just saying. So I don't buy it. And, until I start seeing like real results that I can sink my teeth into from ICE, I just think it should go. I don't think that it's done anything good for us. Like I said, fuck ICE, blanket amnesty. My name is Alec Gunter. You can find me at youtube.com/AlecGunterTTV. I'm also at twitch.tv/AlecGunter and AlecGunter.com. I also do crochet stuff. So I don't have it next to me, but you can find my store in my YouTube description. All my links are there. I won't sit here listing them all. Discord's great. You should join that. And I also am partnered with Platinum Politics. So if you would like to debate me, make sure to join the Platinum Politics Discord server, and you can set up a debate with me there, or just debate people in general. People are debating all the time in here. It's very fun. It is 18 plus now, so please understand. That's just the safest way to do it. So. Anyway, that's all for me.
Also, I have to say,
thank you everyone very much for coming tonight, by the way. Thank you.
For sure. By the way, Alec, you forgot. You can also find you at Tim Pool IRL as well. You forgot that one, bro. You forgot that they can find you at Tim Pool IRL as well.
That's true. Tim Pool IRL. You can find me there. I'll look a little smaller and a little paler, but you can find me there.
That is true. You can find them there as well. Just wanted to remind you. That's all.
All right. Kazim, you have the floor.
Yeah, immigration is commonly made into a problem that it isn't. It's an enforcement issue. You do have to have an enforcement arm. The way the enforcement arm should work is a specific way. It shouldn't just be an arbitration by the president of his own effectively private army. They are geared out to the teeth, and that's not how you fix a problem of too many people in my country. There's nobody shooting at them for them to need that. And that speaks to the average immigrant just not being a criminal in general, and the criminalization of people by default because of a few bad dudes is not really acceptable in this country, and our framework does not allow it. So beyond the rights violations, beyond the presidential overreach, you always end up with this executive issue of you either solve the problem or you let it fester and turn it into a political issue. And I don't see us seeing anything else from Trump. I don't see these amnesty things happening, but I'd love to. The point system, it works if we do it, and based on how we do it, we can make that very egalitarian and very American.
All right, Admiral Gibbs, you have the floor.
Yeah, I mean, this panel has been about what I expected it to be. I gotta say, we need a secure border. I don't know if we definitely need reform. That's for sure. We need a secure border south. We need a secure border north. We need to know who's coming in. We need to get this fixed, right? Secondly, as for the immigration policy, amnesties, point system. I've heard invitation system. I've heard vouchers. I don't know what the solution is, but something's got to fucking change. It's not working. happening currently. I'm very avid that we want to get people here that want to work. You know, a lot of these problems that people talk about on the right are like, oh, they don't assimilate. You know who does assimilate? Hispanic Catholics that want to fucking work. They do want to work. They want to assimilate. The cartel is their problem, you know, issue, right? You know, like the Somali shit, that's a whole different thing. I don't really care about that. That doesn't affect me. I vote local. Also, as I think me and Jake are the only Hispanics here currently, and I'm the only one that speaks Spanish. So as I'm going to declare myself king of Hispanics today, and I'm going to vouch for my Latino brothers and sisters. Listen. Most of them are good people. There's some bad apples, there's some bad hombres, but they just want to work. But we can't reward bad behavior like illegal crossings, and we got to do something. I think we need to have more conversations about this in good faith. And someone mentioned the Obama thing. I'm going to go with my very first quote ever on a panel. Let's just start drone striking these fuckers, and that'll solve the problem, right? And that's all I got. If you like what I have to say, find me as Admiral Gibbs. I'll be doing a show Monday, and I think we'll do something Thursday. Dylan, are we going to do it Thursday? The Iran thing, I guess. I don't know. We have shows every day at 7 or 7:30 on my channel, so check it out. It's fun stuff. Thank you for having me. Fun times.
All right, Reynold, you have the floor.
Yeah, I feel like there wasn't actually too much engagement on whether or not amnesty was a good thing. It feels like it was just kind of conceded right out the gate. There wasn't just, I mean, like there's different arguments that we can have about the particulars of like, oh, do we have harsh enforcement after? What do we do to disincentivize illegal immigration? But like at the end of the day, it didn't even seem like anybody was like principally in opposition to amnesty beyond it not being perfect. But again, as I said in my opening statement, I feel like it needs to be kind of looked at as like a cost benefit thing. It seems like amnesty is infinitely more preferable to any of these mass deportation things. If we want to pearl clutch about violations of the law or it hurting the economy or treating people inhumanely, I feel like these kind of ICE raids, violating people's constitutional rights, which is almost necessarily going to happen in these types of mass raids like this, are just not preferable. And I don't see any world where it is preferable. But with that being said, I'm Reynold. I'm a liberal. If you like what I like to say, find me at RINYALD.
All right. I'll say it once again. I can't thank you guys all enough for coming. Alec, I can't thank you enough for setting this up. This was a great time. I think it was a pretty solid debate. You know,